with this, with me. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We in the building. It's already going on in here right now. As those folks who are watching us can attest to. I can probably guess it's going to be a spirited show. Those of us who are watching, those of you who are watching on the Facebook live feed, you can see we got special guests in the room. We'll introduce on the other side. I usually tease it here. The last few weeks I have not, just because I don't be wanting to. Just listen to the show. It's called Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J. That's me, you, the crew. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show, heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody who is rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks who are checking us out on Facebook Live, those folks checking us out on YouTube Live. You guys have chosen to be with us tonight. You could have been anywhere, and we appreciate you guys giving us the next 2+ hours. We got a lot to get into. It's going to be a spirited show. We've already kind of gotten it popping in here. The spirits, plural, is flowing, and we are excited about it. At this time, we go around the room and introduce the usual suspects. Of course, we will introduce our special guest first, and then we'll get to the mainstays. I always refer to this man as the inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio. It is because he is the first voice that you have ever heard on radio with me. That man right there is Jay Grizzy Green. What it do, homie? You might want to put the mic to your mouth, brother.
Oh,
there you go.
the glass was up.
He put the glass
I
up,
did
but
shit
not the
like
mic.
this. I told you.
What's up, Grizz?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. And highly favored.
Yeah.
Don't make me get the stomping up in this joint.
Take the favorite out.
I ain't never caught the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
And they make you feel bad if you ain't caught the Holy Ghost too. When you go into the fundamental church and everybody in there up singing, fame, foaming at the mouth, and I'm the only one in there like, what in the blue hell is going on up in here? And everybody looking at me like, what's wrong with me?
Hey, look, we too old to feel a way about that.
Right.
Yeah, we way too old.
They looking at me like, what's wrong with me?
We
And I'm
way
like,
we way too old to feel a way about that. You know what I'm
Man.
saying? Yeah. So let me get the
Bless their heart.
salutations continued as we go around the room. Let's get everybody properly introduced. Of course, you see the brother sitting across from me, one of the co-hosts of the show. I always love when I get to hang out with my brother John. How are you, John?
I'm well. Well,
Yeah.
how the mean go? Right hand on frontal, head on back. Why you mad at me?
Yeah.
You being weird to me.
Yeah.
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 Nah, I'm good. I'm good, man. I had a long few days in between our thing because it was our brother Bobby's birthday. Happy birthday, still
Yeah.
celebrating.
Yeah.
And we celebrated before and after.
Hey, look, I was with you for half of the celebration,
Yeah,
but the other
we
half,
just kept it going.
y'all kept on going without
so I'm
me.
a little bit, just recuperating a little bit, and I got I'm trying to reclaim my time,
Yeah.
like Maxine Waters, because the pandemic, and then personal, family stuff and different things, and I've
that's a better one.
in 2022 I lost a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot of friends and a lot of family. Like from January to now, the total's at 9.
Yeah, man, that's
People
tough.
of close, people close enough to me that I consider family, even if we weren't related, but it was family.
Right.
And family and relatives. So right now I'm just at the point where, like, you know what? Pandemic, the heck with the pandemic. You don't gotta wear a mask on a plane no more. I'm going everywhere. I got my phone on lock at Google Flights and Priceline, and I really don't care where it is. When it come up something nice, I'm buying a ticket.
I can dig it.
And I'm gonna figure it out when I get there, because I got to be going.
Ain't no half step Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio, keeping the salutations going around the room. Of course, the co-host of the show, she sits on my right side because she is my right hand. She is my sister and yours, Steph B. How you be, Steph B? Always that way. Yeah, a little testosterone. Yeah, probably. I hope not. And I already kind of laid it down before we started, and so I already asked the brothers to give us a little bit of grace tonight. The extra body always causes the room to get a little hotter, and so we'll be all right. You'll be all right. So this is what I want to do. I want to start the show off tonight with a question. This is the part where we kind of do the fun part before we get to the business, right? So we're gonna have some fun. John will tell you when I come in here, I'm usually the first one here, and he and I will fellowship with one another. And I usually play some music to catch the vibe with mood that I'm in. And so I was in a very strange mood today. And so the question that I'm gonna put onto the floor, and Grizz is the guest, I'll ask you first, and of course Steph and John chime in here. But what's the music artist that you rock with that folks will be like, "Word, you like them? You that's your peoples." And whether it be a couple of different or whatever name you want to drop. But I was playing some of it earlier. If you well, the viewers and listeners wouldn't know, but you guys certainly would. So Grizz, you up first. Like if I got into your car and this was on, I would just kind of give you the side eye, but you like, I don't care, that's my joint.
Well, I could tell you so many, because I got my musical taste has evolved. Of course, I did all the things age appropriate, but I find myself now, I can see why classic rock and stuff and classic anything. Yeah, yacht rock, cuts on yacht rock, 70s, 50s. All right, so you said one artist. I'll give you one. What I've been feeling lately is Talking Heads with David Byrne.
Okay.
I've been listening to Psycho Killer, if anybody knows that song, but it's a real good song. I didn't know it was a female band person that played in the band, so I watched the video on YouTube and I kept playing it because the beat, the bass line on it is so beat. It's a very simple poppy song, but kept playing it on repeat, and I'm downstairs in the man cave, but my wife, who's musically educated too, keeps hearing this song, Psycho Killer, Qu'est-ce que c'est? All right, so she's thinking, is this motherfucker trying to kill me?
Knowing you, that's where she left. That's where she went. Okay.
Yeah,
all the places she could have went, she went there, huh?
Or when you living with somebody or you married and they put that song on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
every time she come on, might be watching
just wrap
Snap.
it up. No, but to wrap it up, Talking Heads and a lot of alternate, almost it was up that bridge in between Beastie Boys and
what's the Fred Durst band?
I'm sorry.
What's the Fred Limp Bizkit? Yeah.
No. Beastie Boys, early Beastie Boys, like Lower
86.
Brooklyn Beastie Boys, and like punk rock.
Right.
Like I'm in, for some odd reason, I'm in that.
That's where you at right now?
That's where I'm at right now.
Steph, where you at right now? Well, maybe not just right now, but just, but this, if somebody heard you listen to this.
Have I been just chatting it up? Okay.
It just dawned on me that wasn't on.
Thank you.
The listeners didn't tell us.
So the Civil Wars, the Dixie Chicks, and the White Stripes.
Okay.
I love the White Stripes. But yeah, when I'm really feeling, the Dixie Chicks could take me from the range of should I choke him to death to
that's what they own.
Look at me, let's get married.
Yeah.
Like they can run. Yes.
They seem like it the way they pissed off George Bush.
They really did. Of course, I would like angry feminists.
John, for me, it's got to be Guns N' Roses.
Oh yeah,
since the first time I heard,
that's a cocaine song.
First time I heard "Welcome to the Jungle," actually, it was "You Could Be Mine" that did it. Like we saw, "Welcome to the Jungle" was in "Lean on Me," and it sounded cool, but it didn't really get me. It's like "Welcome to the Jungle," and it's more about "Lean on Me" for me for that. But when I saw Terminator 2. And it was just something about the way the drums started before they got to the break beat.
Yeah.
And I was done.
Now
this
I'm
is
hearing it in my
1991. and I was
That was the best
done.
Terminator.
And whenever, John, I'm in a mood that I need to get pulled out of, like today, I just was in a shitty mood today until now because I'm here with y'all. Guns N' Roses does it for me, you know. And I could sit here and I came up with the question mostly because I wanted to say that. I could
Never mind the rest of
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Gotta
ain't
get
about
his
y'all.
stuff
I
in.
could have said a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, cousin Terry is checking in.
Hey,
Much love
Hey,
to her.
cuz.
She says anything by Linkin Park.
Oh.
What say you?
Yeah.
My kids love me.
People who know me would never be surprised by anything I listen to as a musician, a songwriter.
Bass over there.
I listen to everything. But I would say Steely Dan.
Oh,
Steely
yeah.
Dan.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So that, that gets all kind of play. But also anything that you may have heard on Light FM out of New York City during the 80s and 90s.
Yep.
Anything that was on that station
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was good music.
is in my car or on my phone.
Light FM.
I
I haven't heard
remember
that
that.
terminology in a long
Yeah,
time.
I remember. You remember it though.
Yes,
I-
absolutely.
I have a collection of Don Kirshner's rock concert live performances that I go through whenever I'm in a way. So like I'm a person, I just like music. When it's music and when the music is good, it's good with me.
Do you find, all of you, this is back to the floor, right? Do you find, like with me today, as I mentioned, I am one of those people. I read somewhere that people who watch the same TV shows or the same movies over and over again. So I will apply this to music. It's a comfort thing. It's an anxiety thing. Those of us who like to watch the same stuff over and over again, we enjoy it because it calms our anxiety. Do you find that music, and I guess I'll jump with you, Grizz, first. Do you find that music will pull you out of or put you into a mood, regardless of what that mood is, good, bad, or what have you?
Yeah, it does. Lately, it's been like a distraction, a good distraction from the turbulent, world that we are living in and our kids are growing up in. So I listen back, and I guess this call it like nostalgia or whatever. That's the reason why people like nostalgia. I listen to nostalgic music because it takes me back to a more simpler time and space, as strangely as it sounds. But the 80s had some good friggin' music.
That's true.
Most definitely, the 80s was it. And if you're an R&B fan from like 85 to 90, but 85 and 88.
So I had some good
Let
music.
me tell you,
But you
if
couldn't add somebody on my Facebook Live. What's up, Mike? Say Bob Seger. I would listen
Bob
to Bob Seger the other night. Rolling up.
Y'all, we are really becoming an old folk club right now,
Yeah.
just on that alone. But
Yeah.
you're right. It is. John said it right. That 80s vibe, or Grizz said it right. That 80s music is real good
It's
music.
aged well.
And I was listening to it's something on streaming, so it's like Pluto or something, and they have this 80s channel, and people were actually talented. I'm not saying there's no talent
They're
now,
musicians.
but these people were musicians. They could, as someone who I can read music.
Yeah.
I cannot play by sight, but I can read it. And seeing, like, even if you go back to just Hall and Oates, Ashford and Simpson. I was watching a behind the scenes of Ashford and Simpson collaborating on one of their songs, the composition piece, and they were sitting there coaching each other back and forth and doing the runs and figuring out what they were going to do. But even more, the other night I posted a video of LaShawn Pace from the Pace Sisters. And I always tell people, even my gospel music, even my atheist and agnostic friends will say, I could not go to church ever, but I will listen to gospel music because of it, where it pulls you. Yeah. Well, I was watching LaShawn Pace, and I ended up posting it. She was basically singing a cappella, except for a hi-hat and an occasional bass. She was singing a cappella. She was directing the audience. She was running the music because gospel music is always a story, right? It's why Shirley Caesar could be turned into greens, beans, tomato, because there's always a story within gospel music. The way the musicality in gospel or in churches, it's no wonder someone like Aretha came out of that environment.
Mhm.
I mean, these people are musically talented, driven, and connected. And I just started listening through a lot of gospel music, listening to all the way to current quote unquote Christian rap like Lecrae. And I was like,
I
man,
have
these,
no
they,
idea who these people
yeah,
is.
I mean,
I must be a heathen.
you a heathen. You a heathen. It's okay. It's okay. But
That's not the only reason.
that's the only
That's
reason.
Yeah.
But again, it's music.
Right.
It's music, and the reason we're talking about it now is just like you said, it creates a mood around it. Frank Ocean's
album
mixtape
It's hot.
with Nostalgia. That's what it was called, Nostalgia. It had a cover of it was called American Wedding, but it was a cover of the Eagles classic. I put that on and I feel a certain way.
Yeah.
So-
Or I put certain music on when I want to write better, or when I'm at home creating content or whatever.
Well, this is why. What's my boy's name? The little guy.
The little guy. Woo?
That narrows it down.
Yeah.
Right. Prince.
Nah, the new one.
Tory Lanez.
The
I
Bruno
wasn't talking
Mars?
about him.
Bruno
Yeah, Bruno
Mars.
Mars. I
Oh,
wasn't talking about no musician.
Bruno Mars, dead
But
on.
the reason this is why he's enjoying the success that he's enjoying right now, because he brought music back to
musician.
music.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right. And you bring music back to music. I mean, this is why like so many people just really gravitate. Like, and you guys talking about gospel, like I can't listen to gospel for too long. I'm gonna get teary-eyed.
Oh, it will do
It
it
just
to
happens.
Oh, the spirit.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because if you know anybody who's gone to not the technical college for being a minister, but someone who's gone to the Baptist school
you. Yes.
where they teach you
the art
with
of
the
it
song,
all.
yeah, the song,
Yes.
the play when you collecting,
Yes.
and the this and the that, and the how to your
Yeah.
voice and all. Yeah, it's
a real
yeah, it's a
thing.
thing to
It's a
pull
business,
emotion
right?
out to pull emotion out of people.
Hold
Yeah.
on. So
and
the
music
pastor
is a big
won't
part.
giving me the real. He was taught how to.
Yeah.
There is
and
some
how
of
to
that.
jump
There
on
is
one
some
leg
of
like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
They
It's
got a Joel
theatrical
Osteen.
theology.
yeah,
Ain't no,
You got
Ain't
a
no how
Reverend
Steppin.
Night School.
and spin around. Yeah, all that stuff.
ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. Shout out to our brother Coach Reggie Ship, who checked in with us a little while ago. He's saying salute to us and the crew, and peace to you, brother.
Peace.
We're gonna shift. You guys, I always like our warm-ups.
Yeah.
Knocked it out the park.
Warm-ups are fun.
Yes.
This next topic is kind of a warm-up too. Or depending on your perspective, it might just be the main event. Y'all heard about Mike Tyson?
Oh my God. You know what? I hate you.
Yeah,
That's a prelim.
That was not on the list,
yeah,
bro.
no, it wasn't.
You really played
That's
it.
a prelim.
I switched gears
I
on
love
y'all.
it.
I'm surprised that dude alive.
All right, so here's the deal, right?
That
Here-
was a love tap.
here's the
Please slow
story.
Mike down a
Here's the
lot.
story as I know the story, right? Here you got this dude that's on a plane. You got Mike Tyson on a commercial flight where he is on his way, I believe, to Miami. Doesn't matter where he was going.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Because he was on a flight, and the dude behind him apparently had been trying to get his attention for a while. And, Mike had exchanged pleasantries with him, talked to him, but he ended up being the annoying fan. And so he just kept on until we actually see the video of Mike turning
Tippity tap, tap, tap.
around and he Mike Tyson the dude. And when you see the dude got the big knot and the blood just dripping, and when the story was initially,
I didn't see him punch. All I saw-
oh, you didn't see the video?
All I saw was Mike over the seat. I saw.
Well, there's a video. Yeah,
Okay.
there's a video,
He
and there's
tippity-tapping him.
there's somebody else that's there who is trying to get Mike to like, he's
back
trying to hold his
off.
hand.
Yeah.
Like, if you punching somebody and somebody's right there and they trying to hold your hand because they know that you can hurt the person that you tapping.
And clearly it worked. It broke the momentum
Yeah,
because
and then
Mike Tyson hitting you.
but
back
here's the
row,
other part of the
skippy
story.
pat. He
Here's
did
the
the
other
skippy
part
pat.
though, right?
He gave him a love
That
tap.
we hear that in the course of trying to get the dude to just like leave me alone,
alone.
Mike offered to do some edibles.
He sure did.
And
He wanted him to
shrooms.
calm down. He wanted him to calm
yeah,
down.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead, Grizz.
too.
Shrooms too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means you. If
'Cause you-
Mike, hold on.
Yeah,
if
go ahead.
Mike Tyson, if I'm a fan and I'm marking out in front of everybody for Mike Tyson, right? And if he offers me some weed, I'm gonna be like, can we smoke together, Mike? I mean, can we
What's
get a
happening?
picture? Yeah, what's happening? Can we get a picture? Then he'll be like, yo, I still don't want this dude around me. And then he starts offering me some mushrooms. I'll be like, he's trying to kill me. He gonna kill. If I don't leave this man alone,
I
We
just want to
really-
know.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
Well, I'm gonna throw it to you because it was really a question. Like, who fucks with Mike Tyson?
That's the only question there is.
hold on. Was he Caucasian?
He was a white boy.
He was white. Yeah.
Come on, man. We don't do that here.
You know.
Was it white or black?
I
That's the
mean,
way you
I
ask
know.
that question.
What does what,
And the
Come
short
on, my bad.
answer is a brother ain't doing that.
One of my white friends.
We've
is on
known
my
since
live,
the
too.
80s.
Right? Why the white boy go up on Tyson like that? Come on, Mike. Can he please talk to me,
Hey,
bro?
Steph. If we remember, Martin Lawrence did a skit
oh my
in the
gosh.
90s
Sure
where
did.
he said, if Mike Tyson punched my lady in the face, the first thing I would be like, yo, Mike. Yo, what happened? What she do? What she do?
I remember-
What she
And you
do?
know, this is the thing about it. Not for nothing, but I was talking to somebody earlier about the baby, whatever his name is. And I was like, it kind of reminds you of Mike Tyson in the 80s. People who never had any connection with Mike Tyson, have never crossed paths with him, likely will never cross paths with him, had a natural fear in the 80s of being punched by Mike Tyson. Like, oh my gosh, it was the scenario. Imagine if he got punched by Mike Tyson.
We all had.
Everybody did that scenario. What did this guy miss?
He's
and
probably too young to
He's
know.
young, but the other thing is this:
Get your ass.
we have gotten to a point of where social media engagement with these celebrities, just like regular everyday people have gotten a little too familiar with each other.
Yeah.
You get a little too familiar with these celebrities, and not every single one of them is Mike Tyson.
Hey, yo.
And Mike, when he was younger, I remember someone describing him as, like, they said Mike Tyson walking in the room felt like the pit bull you heard barking
Yeah.
is now off the chain and in the room, and you're not quite sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's likely not going to be good for you. Now,
Yeah.
I hate that they describe that brother that way, because now we can clearly see, as we get more mature, a lot of that was rooted in anti-blackness, anti-black male, anti-black masculinity. So a lot of that I don't like. However,
Yeah.
truth be told,
He was
there are
dangerous.
some uncontrollable personalities. You messed with the uncontrollable personality. He's the first Black athlete I ever saw get on TV and basically be like, F you guys. I'm good without you.
Just because he's 55 and a
So-
little older doesn't mean nothing. I'm gonna do
Hmm.
3 real quick Mike Tyson stories, and I'm gonna hand it to John. Right. The first Mike Tyson story is Will Smith made a whole song called "I Think I Could Beat Mike Tyson" in 1989. 1989.
Mike
right?
Tyson had a whole video game about you being knocked out.
1980.
Mike
I remember my first, not my first, but one of my first forays with Mike Tyson. I'm 14 years old. I go to the Spinks fight. I paid $25 of my own money, and the fight was over before I could see it. 91 seconds. And if you want it, 91 seconds. And John,
Yeah.
if you want to know what could happen to you if you get on the bad side of Mike Tyson, ask Mitch Green.
Oh man, I forgot.
And if you don't know who Mitch Green
Green's
is,
face.
Google Mitch Green.
Look it up.
Google Mitch Green, late 80s, Mike Tyson.
Mitch, can
and
I
then
say this?
and then come back.
Dapper Dan.
Mitch Green looked like
Can we
he
tell
looked
him?
like Sexual Chocolate got beat up.
You know what?
That, like, he
She
had
nailed it.
that
Mitch
whole-
Green looked like Eddie Murphy from Coming to
from Coming to-
America,
yeah.
and he was messing with Mike Tyson on the street, and Mike Tyson knocked him out on the street.
Cold.
And Mitch Green was a professional fighter at the time, John.
So-
that's right.
so-
I forgot
Yeah,
that.
he was a
Um,
heavyweight
Damn.
and a good one.
and a good one.
Let's not really get distracted. If it wasn't for drugs, he would have been a lot more well known as a boxer. Mitch Green's a decent boxer. I I've met Mike Tyson. I've had a small, brief conversation with him on 2 occasions. He is remarkably intelligent.
A lot of
Right.
people do say that about him.
And you know, he is the stuff that he knows on a genius level. Right?
He's a savant.
No, he's not. No, because he's not.
Well, that's what a person who knows stuff on a genius level
Yeah,
is.
but also there other things are lacking because
Hence the word savant.
Yeah, but he's not lacking. Like his regular intelligence isn't lacking. His basic social function isn't
That's
lacking.
usually savant
Right.
can be in that
Still a savant.
in that environment. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they call that idiot
Idiot
savant.
savant.
Yeah, but not. I'm not talking about. So
But
yeah,
he's,
he's somewhat of a savant, right? And the first time I met him was at Latin Quarters in 1985. He wasn't champion yet, and he's there with a customary 80s tracksuit on.
Oh my God.
He's got 2 Spanish girls with him. And I walk in and I walk past him because to me, he was small to me because I'm tall. He's about 5'10". And as I walked past him, the guy I was with said, "Yo, that's Mike Tyson." I said, "No, it ain't." He said, "Yeah, it is." I turned around and looked. "Oh, it is Mike Tyson." So I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, champ." He wasn't champ. I said, "Hey, champ." Reached out my hand and he shook my hand and we shook hands. Shaking Mike Tyson's hand, you can feel every muscle in his body while you shake his hand.
Except
Like,
for
that is not where I expected this to be going.
you shake his hand and you can feel the arm, the shoulder, everything. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, he can knock it
Imagine getting
out.
hit with that.
Now, the second time I meet Michael Jackson, I'm not Mike
Word?
Tyson.
Word?
Right? Don't go
You
there.
confuse those two?
I got a story about that, but that's another time.
Yeah,
Because Mike Jackson skippity pap too when he get ready.
Skippity
Backstage, any Heartbreak tour, the last show at the Garden.
Sicily.
They started at the Garden and they ended at the Garden. Last show at the Garden. I forgot who it was that said something to Mike Tyson that he didn't like. But Mike Tyson got into his Mike Tyson stuff. And to see somebody move with that kind of speed and purpose when you're not used to seeing it, it's like a superhero or something. like you got, wait a minute,
though.
how did he get from here to there so damn fast? Like, whoa. Like, and you got professional armed security afraid.
They like this.
You got other people just trying to talk to him. Shout out to
Wait
Big
a
Blue,
minute.
Big Blue from Uptown. People trying to talk to him and just calm him down because he was about to beat up the Garden. So yeah, Mike is something. Why would anybody? When you said who does that? A foolish young white man.
And also, the irony is not lost that this occurred the first full weekend of no mask, right? So here we are, and everybody's feeling themselves. Some people are feeling themselves like, John, let me get on every flight. But other people really are just being pure a-holes about things. And now you're drinking, you're much more comfortable because this guy was
lifted.
a little
He was
intoxicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't
KC
so
and the
drunk that he
Sunshine
couldn't,
Band.
he wasn't
lifted.
so drunk he couldn't tell his story. So you ain't that drunk.
Right.
But you clearly are feeling yourself if you're on a flight with Mike Tyson. All he has to do as the average person one time to stop, and they would stop. This guy clearly just is not getting the messaging.
He looked like he was just
He didn't get it.
pestering him.
And yeah, there are just those personality types that feel like you're a celebrity, you're out in public, it is what it is.
People don't, and you figured, and this is what I figured. I said the one thing about the slap that kind of made me feel all right about it was, well, maybe people will understand that there are consequences and repercussions for your actions. You just can't do what you want to do willy-nilly and just expect nothing to happen to you.
But you know what's funny
too
though?
far gone
People expect that
They
the
don't
famous
care. The slap ain't showed them nothing.
people expect that the famous person, obviously because
take
they
the high
are
road.
because they are the famous person, that the repercussion for them will be more grand, and so there's more rope. But what you have to understand, two things. One, that person is a person too, and you don't get to treat a person differently. Well, you shouldn't treat a person differently because
Based
they're
on.
famous,
Mhm.
and that goes a lot of different ways. Like I always trip off of when I look up and I see all of this support and happy birthdays and all of that for famous people, but you don't even holler at the cat in your own hood. You know what I'm saying? That's my
People are
own
caught up in the cult of
that's
personality.
yeah, exactly. That's my own commentary on that. But here's the other thing: like you got to remember who you're dealing with.
All day.
You can't just be
All
poking
day.
the bear.
Oh no, but you gotta see, this is my thing, and people gotta understand this. There's no room to pick and choose because you really don't know who
Person
you
by
messing
Who you
with.
messing with? You don't know what that person.
So
going
you
through.
assume,
Yeah.
right? I always assume,
Yup.
right, that this person might react violently to something I'm gonna do. So I govern myself accordingly, right? And everybody should have that in their brain. Like, wait a minute, this person might actually get violent. So, but people walk around again. I hate to pick on white folk, but that's kind of my job here. That's kind of that
Have we
white
the white folk
designated that,
picker.
Mark?
That's that kind of
Mark, did we
white
designate
privilege.
him with that?
I don't think we had to.
Okay.
Right,
well,
but I'm
he-
He
saying
commandeered
that's
that
showing
position.
privilege.
listen. That's kind of that white privilege that you feel like, oh, you could, like, I've seen, like, we've all seen the video, people running up, grabbing people's shopping cart and stopping people and stand, let me see your ID before you come in this building. Like, where is the one time where somebody just hauls off and punches this white lady in her face? Like, it's gonna happen at some point, and then everybody's gonna turn around and talk about how this black person assaulted this white person. Yo, do not impede my forward progress. Do not stand in front of me. Do not ask me anything. You don't know me.
We saw that when the Central Park
Just
situation
leave me alone.
We saw that with the Central Park situation where the lady tried to mess with the dude when he asked her to leash her dog.
Yeah.
And then it turned into, I'm going to tell the police that you're hurting me. And we found out that wasn't
was not the
that was
case.
not the case. I always tell this story. I haven't told it in a while, but when we were at Original Den, I remember I was in the studio. And one of the folks, I'll just say his name, Mr. LP Steven Sykes. I like shouting him out. But, he asked me to take a look at his vehicle. He had a situation with his vehicle. He asked me to go outside and look at it. So I go outside and I'm looking at his car. And this white lady who has no business in my business, she comes out and she says, "Who are you and why are you looking at that car?" I said, not that it's any of your business, but the person who car this is works for me. How about you go ask him?
Right.
Matter of fact, I had a better one. How about you mind your business?
It's free.
And so she just gave me the look. But I those kinds of stories are so common that this Karen and policing thing is a lot, and it translates to this particular story. And I don't know if it's a white or black thing when we're talking about the Mike Tyson thing, but it probably is, because I think black folks know you don't mess with Mike Tyson.
Remember
No,
that
but
time?
we also.
You don't mess with nobody.
I was just gonna say.
You
I
mind
think
your
by
mama
nature-
teaches you this. White folks, your mamas don't teach y'all this.
No, they
Like
don't.
the first thing I know from like 5 years old, mind your business.
Mind
Everything
your
I
is
can't
not
even
your
ask my
business.
mama
Grown
a
folks
question.
You know what's
talking.
funny about that? You know what's funny about that? Like, we have this joke when we talk about horror movies about how they always get killed because they so damn curious.
And we ain't that curious.
But they kill us first in the movies. Go
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. But and it's funny because culturally, and to John's point, that really is a thing. We start off very early on the mind your business.
Don't
Your
touch
kid,
shit.
you're walking around, your
and
kids
mind
are
your
looking left
business.
to right. What you looking for? Keep your head straight. We just are a mind your business culture. And it's funny, everything goes back historically. Everything has its tethers and ties.
Right.
So, if you think about it, for Black people historically in America, from the time that, really from the plantation forward, seeing things was dangerous.
Yeah. Being nosy
Seeing things that weren't meant for you to see, that had nothing to do with you, even
could cost you your life.
it could cause you to lose your life,
and
you know,
your children and all that.
So we like to ignore those little historical
No,
elements. But if you think about it, you talk about the ancestors, but you don't want to think about what the ancestors taught you. So from the days of the plantation, hey, John, did you see what Grizz did over there by that shack? No, I sure didn't. No, sir. I was over there in the woods doing so and so. And so I think that is just a historical thing. Meanwhile, on the other side, y'all been watching us forever. There's always you've been watching to make sure we obey your laws, watching to make sure we don't drink from your fountain, watching to make sure we don't move in your neighborhood.
Tell it, girl.
Watch. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. So we can't, we like to get uncomfortable when we talk about things that seem like stereotypes, but they come from some levels of truth. Right. It's when you exaggerate them and turn them into something that is exclusionary that it becomes detrimental. But for me to acknowledge, yeah, Black folks, 9 out of 10 gonna mind their business, sometimes to our own detriment.
Mind your business, mind your manners.
Yeah,
that's it.
Don't touch shit.
Don't talk. My grandmother. I remember. Don't speak above your station to an older person. Right. So
and don't say nothing about going in this house outside this house.
So has that worked its way around 360 degrees to the Stop No Snitching campaign that goes on in the hood?
Probably.
You hear that, police? Y'all padded rollers are the reason for all of this.
They the biggest non-snitches,
right?
Yeah. They won't tell on each other for nothing, but they want us to tell on each other.
Right. And I don't necessarily believe in that, because if I see a sister or brother in my neighborhood, you think about, there are elders in your neighborhood that don't have a first line of defense, and not seeing what's going on in front of them, around them, and to them is detrimental to our community. However, you're exactly right, Grizz. This is, no snitching is derived from the mind your business.
Yeah.
I remember in the 80s.
Don't worry about what them people doing.
Yeah, in the 80s, all kinds of crime went on. Some horrific crimes went on in the New York subway system.
Dude in the
I will tell you,
kept like
nobody,
85 white girls.
Yeah,
the black dude.
Things like that. Things like that. But on the subway, they would see things happen and not see things happen.
Get up and get off. Oh, this is my stop.
Yeah.
And that's so it's terrible.
But
it's real.
But it's real.
I'm gonna tell you something that's funny, right? With this whole non-snitching thing and all this, right? If something happened to you, you gonna tell somebody what happened to you, because that's you. But if it ain't happening to you 9 times out of 10, you ain't really like, if you ain't gonna personally intervene, you gonna keep your mouth shut. But the problem with that is, police, y'all think we don't call y'all because we not snitching. No, we don't call y'all because we don't want to get arrested.
And every time we call y'all, there's the possibility of it going left, because a lot of the stories that we see that have had police involved shootings have stemmed from citizens calling the police to deal with things that could have been dealt with simply, like the girl last year who with the knife, and that went bad, and it's difficult to see that, because she had a knife, and the police officer put her down, and there are some that will make the argument, well, she had a knife, and it's not.
But he shot into a crowd of people. It's
the point I'm making is, it's a difficult thing when we're dealing with a situation that is domestic, or maybe we call them because we needed their assistance, and then someone dies.
Turn left.
And I obviously that's not where this was going, but this is where it ended up. We're going to move it on so we can get to some other stuff. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so this is an interesting case that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what's going on in Florida with Disney and DeSantis. This clip that I'm gonna play is gonna kind of break it down. It's about the stance that the Republican governor is taking in Florida with regards to Don't Say Gay, and how Disney has taken a stand against that to be defensive towards those folks who are part of the LGBTQ community and others. But this is an interesting one, and I want to talk about this because this might be the spark that spreads across the country, and this may be just the beginning. So let's take a listen, and then we'll get into it.
Governor DeSantis amending the special legislative session getting underway in Tallahassee. His focus eliminating special districts like Disney's Reedy Creek. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bridget Ellison.
And I'm Justin Mormouth. So we told you last month that some state legislators were holding meetings to discuss repealing the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act. The measure allows Walt Disney World to act as its own government and was created to entice the company to build in Florida. But after the Disney company spoke out against Florida's parental rights and education law, which critics call the Don't Say Gay law, Republicans in Florida have been working to penalize the company. News 6's Mark Lehman is in the Villages where the governor made the announcement.
It was a surprising development before a separate bill signing here today. Governor DeSantis saying lawmakers are taking aim at special districts that have been in place for more than 50 years, something set to have a big impact on Central Florida's largest employer. During a stop in the Villages, Governor DeSantis announced he's amended a special legislative session beginning today.
And so, yes, they will be considering the congressional map, but they also will be considering termination of all special districts that were enacted in Florida prior to 1968.
That includes the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which acts as Disney World's own government. Initial conversation beginning after Disney spoke out against the Parental Rights and Education bill, dubbed by critics as the Don't Say Gay bill.
It's going to be fascinating to see if the legislature's anger at Disney is great enough to kill the Reedy Creek Improvement District.
DeSantis has said a potential repeal is part of an effort to strip the large corporation of what he calls special privileges. Political experts saying Disney will oppose the potential measure every step of the way.
Disney is well prepared for a fight. They have more than 36 lobbyists in Tallahassee who are all going to be lobbying against this. Disney contributes millions of dollars every year to Florida Republicans. So they're going to fight this tooth and nail.
It's important to note that this proposal only affects special districts created before 1968 and not a place like the Villages, which was created years later. We will be following the developments with the special session throughout the day and the entire week. For now, reporting in the Villages, Mark Lehman, getting results, News 6.
Ain't no half step from Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. John, a lot to respond to. You up first.
Don't say gay though. I'm just saying.
All right, I got you. We'll say happy. How's that? You can still say happy.
Oh man,
the happy community.
I miss this dude, man.
So I'll start it off with the words of a dear. I wouldn't say hero, but a dear person to me, Chris Jericho. DeSantis is an ass clown.
That is exactly what Chris Jericho would say.
He would say that. Yes.
Yes, he would.
DeSantis is an ass clown. And I'll explain to you why. He's an ass clown. It's a special kind of person. Disney is Republican.
For the most part.
Right? They support the Republicans in Florida. Dummy Santas, if you go against Disney and they put their money that is more money than the rest of your town into a Democratic challenger, you will lose Florida because Dade County is Democratic like a mug. You ain't got nothing but newlyweds and nearly deads, and most of them is Jews. They voting Democratic. So y'all need to rethink your strategies while you dealing with Disney. Disney's not to be played with. That's like the guy on the plane with Mike Tyson. What are you doing? Disney's the original Mike Tyson. They done slap more people around and put people out of business. Then you need to read some of that propaganda y'all be doing on the Q network or whatever y'all got, and talk about all the wicked stuff that Disney did back in the day. Y'all be pumping that. It's true though. Don't mess with Disney, and that's about it.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. We're getting a hit from one of our favorite listeners, but she's more than a listener. She's Legacy in that radio alumni, and she is special to our show because she is our legal. She's got perfect timing, and she says
Hey, Nika.
Florida's governor's response is very well thought out. Disney's independent status also provides them their own law enforcement, fire department, etc. What is the true fallout of this? Orlando can't absorb that. So,
Right.
what do you think, Steph?
Well, I lived in that market for 10 years. And so Orlando and Osceola County, which are the Osceola County is going to be the biggest impacted county. And then any of the small incorporated towns that are within that 40 square miles, they have been protected from paying taxes that would be able or required to maintain every road, all the pavement, all the things that happen in Disney. As John mentioned, the fire department, the police department, all of those things Disney has covered. So now that money, those taxes have to be shifted to the local community. One, I agree with John. It's a silly move considering that overwhelmingly Disney contributes to Republican candidates. Silly move. Two, it's ridiculous, but not shocking because it's not happening to a county that is overwhelmingly Republican. Osceola, Orlando are overwhelmingly Democratic. There are huge Latino populations there, primarily Puerto Ricans, and then Mexicans. And so to some degree, he knows what he's doing and he doesn't care. But the other side is, it just shocks me. Like, we never call out the levels of hypocrisy. So all of these bills are like, the government's too involved with this. The government, the Republicans, we're focused on big business and so on and so forth. And now here you have the Republicans canceling big business when big business doesn't think like them, which is socialistic. And actually it's fascist, which is even worse. Two, now you're dealing with a governor that is carrying out every single petty grievance. And the problem behind it is it's being co-signed on, but the next step is this is the guy that wants to run in 2024. And that, so we can laugh about the whole Disney thing and everything that's happening there. But one, it's and we can look at it and say, local taxpayers, it's going to influence them. But the fact that their local Senate co-signed on this bill and co-signed on this bill against Disney, it should be something that we all should be afraid of, because this is just another part of the tipping point, the pendulum swing for far right in America to be able to fully reflect how they believe.
I'm driving all the way down 95. As soon as I cross the state line in Jacksonville, I'm going to say the words gay.
Are you going to say it like that, though? Gay.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of gay ass hillbillies in Florida. I bet you.
There is. I look at this, Grizz.
Straight out of what's that movie with Cletus?
Deliverance.
Deliverance, yeah. That's a great movie. That's a great movie.
Up in that panhandle.
That's a great movie, though.
Yeah.
That's Georgia.
We're like a pig.
It is Georgia, right? It is Georgia.
Yeah. Panhandle, Florida doesn't look that much different.
Over the last 10 years, probably since the birth of movement and Trump and all of this, is that, and I forgot which pundit said it, but Republicans and people on the right, fascists and Trumpsters and maggots, they're the deplorables. Yeah, they're the ultimate picture of projection that you will ever see in your whole entire life. Whatever, I strongly believe, whatever a Republican do or whatever a redneck does in the neighborhood and put up his sign and his flag and all, it's just a projection of what they really want to put. They really want to be cool. They really want to have melanin. they really want this because we look so good.
You know, I would say this.
I don't blame you.
I often will speak last on these topics because I want to see if you guys will go where I want to go, and nobody touched on what I want to touch on, and so I'm glad about that. Before John comes behind me, I want you guys to think about this, right?
Speaking of don't say gay.
Happy. He's happy. He's
but he just said it.
I
come from
But
behind.
here's the thing, right?
Our happy community.
I miss him. I do. I miss him. But here's the thing, right? When we see this, right? This is an attack. It's subtle, but then it's not subtle. It's like blatant because this is the Florida government coming for gay people. This is Disney standing up for them. And this is the Florida government saying, so what? We coming for y'all now. And we as black people, we know exactly what that looks like.
Mean?
We know exactly what it looks like when we stand up for ourselves and someone tries to defend us and the object of our ire hammers them. You know, that's why Martin Luther King got shot in the face. You know what I'm saying? Because he stood up for us.
Mhm.
You know, now I'm not equating LGBTQ with civil rights.
Rights are rights.
Rights are right. Exactly. That's where I'm going. And so we see that. And you know, it's one of those things, man. Like, we don't have to endorse what we don't understand. But what we should do is respect it. If it don't bother you.
Leave it alone.
What you eat don't make me shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just crazy to me that, you know, I could have a conversation.
But they're big
I could
butt pluggers. That's why
no, we're not doing that.
That's why they do that.
We're not going to do that though.
They are.
We're not going to do that.
Republicans love it like that.
And
so they project it and try to ban it when they're the ones catching it with no Vaseline.
Yeah,
At
okay.
least a lib.
Hold on.
A lib would take a little
Listen,
Vaseline.
we do not know where Lindsey Graham stands on
Hold
the
on.
subject. So let's just
he wrap around.
Hold on.
He rushed the
Okay,
Trump.
I'm speaking.
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
Y'all look crazy
I'm speaking.
today.
To quote Kamala Harris, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Softly.
Yeah.
How could we ever tell? We don't know. She don't come
You know
out.
what?
Maybe she needs
You know
to
what?
come
We're
out
not
and don't
doing
say
that.
gay.
We're not doing that.
We're
all right. So we're gonna
not.
stop right there. All right.
No.
Let me.
What did I get you wrong with the butt plug? You know it.
Go on.
It's been a long time since I've been in a room with him.
You know it.
I stop.
I'm
Stop.
not.
I'm not.
You know the right project stuff that they.
Can I finish my point
All
before
right.
you finish?
I was
yours?
trying to be serious, so you didn't think I was joking.
No, I know you well enough to know where you're going.
Okay, go ahead.
So before I get annoyed, let's stop. Because you know how that goes. So, but what? Listen, damn it, you made me forget my train of thought. But basically, what I'm saying is, we see how this goes. We see how it goes when we try to legislate having a conversation about being who we are. All right. So I am going to change directions for a second because we just got a shout out from a legend in this town. My brother and yours, the OG Tim Casey, is listening. Shout out to you, brother. He said Grizz just being Grizz. and damn it, you really did make me lose my train of thought. So John obviously wants to double dutch in, and I'll grab my thought back here in a minute.
Hopefully I'll let you into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll try to be quick with this.
Butt plugs, by the way.
No, I'm going to talk about.
I am when it comes back around.
You are not.
Okay.
I want to talk about this. Well,
it has something to
you
do
are
with the
not.
story. It has something to do with the story.
No, we're not talking about butt plugs.
So here's the deal.
Kind of like
I'm a bit perturbed.
Me too.
That
at him.
Perturbed
no,
about
I'm a bit perturbed that
that could be
we are attributing the actions of these people to the Republican Party. This is the Tea Party.
Oh, yeah.
There is no small government
no
defense spending people around anymore. All of these people are Tea Party people who signed an oath to go against anything that Barack Obama did as president, even if it was in their interest. Right? These are not, most of the things he did was Republican leaning. He was a right leaning Democrat, and they went against everything he did. So now they're doing things like all of this government interference, that did all of this legislation that they said they wouldn't do ever, because that's not what Republicans did, but they're Tea Party.
Yeah, I do. I do agree with that.
So they're doing this kind of stuff. Now, the whole thing with the don't say gay, here's what this is my issue. Democrats are the worst branders on the planet.
Agree with that too.
Right? They do not know how to shape their message, and deliver it, and they never know their audience because they're confused among themselves. At least the people in the Tea Party have all agreed to be assholes and racists. And if you're not an asshole racist, we're gonna push you out of the party. Right? So that's what and people who were old school Republicans have left the party. The unfortunate thing is now we see ourselves mixing with the Democrats, and the Democrats are all trying to eat each other up alive, right? And they don't know how to shape the message because they are so caught up with the idea of using the verbiage that they want to use, right? This whole thing about don't say gay, it's about the kids in the school and about teaching kids, oh, well, you know, it goes back maybe about 20 years where people's like, you know, it's a common thing now, or it's more common.
Some people have two moms, some people have two dads.
That's exactly where I was going. So
And
they
use butt
had to
plugs.
begin to explain that to children. They had to explain that to
Did
children.
I get this microphone?
Hold on, give me a second.
No, I want him to hand over the mic.
You know you can mute it over there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I can actually.
So
I won't say that
no,
word.
let me finish this up. So with that very difficult, complex situation, no one was willing to lend themselves to being interested in the other argument. Right? They just wanted to keep it on themselves. So the Democrats started acting like the far left started fighting the far right with no room for anything in between. Right? You don't have to have a not say gay bill to say we have to give some serious thought about how we explain things to children in school, pre-K to whatever, to I say ninth grade. Right? When did they start doing sex education? High school, right?
High school age, yeah.
Way too late.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, all I'll say is that's a discussion that people could have in an intelligent way, and I can listen, respect, and appreciate someone's opinion that's different than mine.
Let me
right?
get a comment in on social media, then I'm gonna jump back in here. Shout out to my brother Chanel. He is checking in from Florida. He lives in Florida by way of Baltimore, by way of Jersey City, New Jersey. One of my favorite people, one of my big brothers and mentors. I appreciate you rocking with us, brother. Let me read his comment. He says, yo, I live here in Florida, and DeSantis is off the hook. He's a little Trump down here. He's making a name for himself with these radical moves because he plans to run for president in 24. He recently enforced a math book ban because it violated critical race theory guidelines. Let me.
Youngkin's company is the company that will now get all the business for the math textbooks in Florida.
And he is our governor here in Virginia.
Exactly.
Let me just say this, kind of harkening back to the point that I was trying to make before. One of the few people on the planet that could get me ruffled. This whole don't say gay thing for me is difficult for me because we've always known gay people. You know, as we grew up and our parents' generation, I just remember elders, you know, that would say certain things about certain family members. And, you know, as a young child, you would see certain family members that functioned differently from how you thought certain gender roles should be. There have always been gay people, you know. It's not something that's new, and because you don't like it doesn't mean that they're going to stop being gay. Like they're going to always
Or
be
cease to
cease to exist or anything like that. And it it frustrates me. I'm not gay. I don't want to be gay. It's okay to me if you want to be gay. As I said before, what you eat doesn't make me shit. But where I get frustrated is when I see us try to legislate people's reality. Because no matter what your law says, no matter what your book says, no matter what it is you say, if a person inside of themselves feels a certain kind of way,
Or
it's good,
is
or
a
is
certain
a
way.
certain kind of way, none of that is going to change, and they are no less worthy of respect than those of us who choose or are innately heterosexual. And so when I see laws on the books, you know what I mean, where you're telling these people don't even say it, it's just it's difficult for me. And I applaud Disney for standing up and saying, you know what, we ain't going for that. And my guess is, not that I know anything, just a 47-year-old guy who's been around a little while and stayed in a Holiday Inn once or twice. And yes, I do that corny ass joke at least once every week,
Dad joke.
every single week. I'm pretty confident that Disney is going to outlast DeSantis on this.
Absolutely.
And no matter what it takes, they're gonna win.
Yes,
They're gonna win.
They will have more money to spend on this
It's
than the
mouse.
state of Florida. To John's earlier point, they absolutely will have it. There was something that John was saying, he didn't, and I was thinking about this as we were talking, and he started getting into it, but then kind of got away from it. First of all, I agree that, and I said this last week, I feel that messaging, every campaign, if you are a local Democrat and you're trying to run or what have you, bring in a sales strategist. Doesn't have to be Steph B, although I have the words and the magic, but you need to bring in a sales strategist, because salespeople, solid professional salespeople, we understand messaging. We're talking for money, for the sake of receiving money. And when money is the end game and the end goal, or convincing people to spend money is the end game and the end goal, find someone who has the ability to create authentic messaging that directly addresses things. They do not and have not been able to figure out third to fifth grade messaging at all. The don't say gay bill. Let's make it very, very simple. Great. Democrats come in and they go, absolutely, we agree, don't say gay. The real law is not about don't say gay. It's about not discussing those gender roles from K to 3. So guess what? Now, as a Democrat, we discuss no gender roles. We don't talk about traditional mommy and daddy. We're going to get rid of all of the family tree projects that talk about mommy and daddy and everyone else. See, I'm good with your law.
And I'm good with that too.
As long, and see, the minute you start to push back, now, excuse me, you're talking to the general public, the general population, and you say, we as Democrats absolutely agree. We're not going to say anything about any gender or any gender designation because it would be exclusionary. Therefore, we're no longer going to, straight teachers are no longer allowed to say, my husband last night, and it's just going to be an across the board bill.
It really doesn't have a place.
Well, and that's fine. That's fine if that's what you believe. Although every single one of us knew who our kindergarten teacher's husband or whatever was. Let's not act like this is new. I knew Mrs. Zimmering, who Mrs. Zimmering's husband was. My son, his kindergarten teacher, who also was my daughter's kindergarten teacher in a private setting. In Florida, she talked about her children, Sally and Jack. She talked about her husband, I believe Sam, all of those things. And the final thing I'll say, so Grizz can jump in before we move on, is we have to understand this really important situation too. A lot of this is going to be about the direct address of hypocrisy, saying exactly what you mean. Grizz was kind of going to it, but because of how he approaches it, it gets lost. But I was going to say, every single thing that the Republicans are pointing at Democrats for, they're usually hiding. And so there's a website, and I'm going to post the link in the comments. It's the Daily Cause, and KOS, and they are known for putting everything out there politically. They have been tracking every Republican sexual predilection, overstep, overreach, illegality since Trump. They are up to 500 and something different instances. Mind you, they do not include any consensual gay issues or where somebody was outed as gay. There were hundreds more of that, of Republicans who were, don't say gay and everything else, but they're the ones that are hiding, that are in the closet, things like that. While they're allowed to be hypocritical, the things the Democrats don't want, that it's this silly when they go low, we go high. And look what going high when they're going low gets you. American public loves the lowbrow. It's why Jerry Springer lasted so long on air. So they need to get dirty. They need that. They need to go into Jerry Springer mode, and you just got to come out swinging. As long as the Democrats want to play moral high ground, while also hypocritically the Republicans claim to be the moral party, then they get to lose. And that's what you do.
I didn't know anything about proper male bathroom etiquette when you actually go into a stall. I go the urinal between you and the next man so you can do your number.
That urinal, that urinal etiquette.
That's urinal etiquette in the men's bathroom.
I can see that.
But I ain't know nothing about if you go in a men's bathroom and there's partitions, nothing. And I was in my 20s, my 30s, when I learned this. If you stick your toe on the other side of the partition and somebody's over there, you can get a wraparound. Or you can have fun with the other person. But guess where I learned that from?
Republicans.
I learned that from an Idaho Republican senator, like 15
remember
years
he was
ago.
tapping his foot?
Stance.
Wide stance. I just have a wide stance.
I didn't know.
You know when I found out?
What was that?
Right now.
Really? I'm talking
right now.
I didn't know nothing about it.
Because he was pushed out.
Yeah.
And he was outed for doing this in an airport.
My point is...
No, rest stop. Was it rest
No,
stop?
it was an airport. It was an airport. My point is that the projection is there. It's not this bill and this Republican Party or this version of this party is not for it's just not for the intelligent people. It's for the less than high school educated, two teeth butt plugger. And I can say that. Back to you, Marcus.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from New Day. Legacy
I'm gonna let you move. I'm gonna let you move it on, Mark. But I have so much more to say. But I know you want to move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Or as we, because I got certain corny jokes that I do every single week, and it's time for another one. Steph, you ready for this one?
Oh Lord, go.
Let us move on.
Yes, that is your favorite.
Yeah. And Grizz, I'm gonna punch you in the face for the end of the night. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from
Grizz is pouring one more. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, and would you say earlier you was you know what as you know what? So
my first expose,
for what is
to that
language. For what it's worth. I appreciate our brother Tim Casey for watching and listening and for being able to understand what he absolutely cheers to Tim Casey. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here because he was the one that put you on and you was the one that put me on. And so anyway, he said Grizz being Grizz, and that's some real shit. And while you annoy the fuck out of me sometimes, I love you more than you'll ever know. That's what it is.
And I love that he's so unbothered by it.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, this is Mark. That's our relationship. Keep it pushing.
Look, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Me and Grizz been doing this since before radio.
I see.
We gonna do this,
natural thing.
After radio. But anyway, let us move on. Shout out to the brother Randy Orton celebrating 20 years for WWE.
Oh my God.
RKO. Those folks who know me know I'm a big wrestling fan, and it is not very often I have an opportunity to throw something in. Right now, as we speak, I got Monday Night Raw on in front of me, and they are celebrating the Legend Killer. And so there are certain milestones in pro wrestling that I'll often put in social media. There are very rare moments that I could speak on them live as they're happening. And as of right now, we are celebrating. We celebrate The Undertaker. We celebrate Stone Cold Steve Austin. We celebrate others. But this man right here has been doing this for 20 straight years. And so I want to give him some love. And that's all you're going to get right now because we are going to move on. But I did want to do that to stay authentic to who I am. And I still Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Narrator. All right, so we need to talk about Kevin McCarthy, y'all. We need to talk about that. As we have gotten used to playing clips, we're going to play a clip and then we're going to get into it. Take a listen.
Are you hearing that he might resign? Is there any reason to think that might happen?
I've had some few discussions. My gut tells me no. I'm seriously thinking that I have a conversation with him tonight. I haven't talked to him in a couple days.
In a recording of January 10th, 2021 House Republican leadership call posted by the New York Times on Thursday night, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy is heard discussing the Democratic effort to remove President Donald Trump from office after the January 6th insurrection. In the recording, McCarthy is heard saying that he would tell Trump, "I think it will pass, and it would be my recommendation you should resign."
Again, I mean, the only discussion I would have with him is that I think this will pass, and it would be my recommendation you should resign. I mean, that would be my take, but I don't think he would take it, but I don't know.
The recording was released by the New York Times, Jonathan Martin and Alex Burns on the Rachel Maddow show. McCarthy's office had insisted he had never said he would call Trump to say he should resign, but that statement was put out before the release of the tape. And since then, the Washington Post had interviewed aides that indicated McCarthy and Trump have since spoken since the release of the tape. Both were satisfied with the explanation. Leader McCarthy, shortly after January 6th, visited with the president in Mar-a-Lago. And since then, it's been very clear that he has tried to remain in the president's good graces. And he believes that the president is a critical player in the success of the Republican Party this fall. The elections will determine who controls Congress. Leader McCarthy believes that President Trump could play an instrumental role in helping Republicans take back the majority and allow him to become the next Speaker of the House.
Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so this one's interesting. Shout out to Tim Casey. He says he's enjoying the show, and we all got love for Grizz. Yeah, peace to you, Tim Casey, the OG. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. All right, so Grizz, I'll obviously, since your name has just come up, we'll come to you first on this one. Shout out to Tim Casey, who said that your bald head looked like a toilet seat.
But I couldn't say butt plug, you son of a bitch.
I'll never forget that shit.
See? You did it, but I can't say
That was the
butt
funniest
plug.
shit that he ever said. He said Chris' head looked like a
I'm now a monk, Marcus. I've been practicing.
Yo. Oh man, that shit was funny as hell.
For the last 12 years.
Is that
the reason
a Russell
why?
Simmons type of?
Yeah, the reason why this shit is like it is.
Hey, look, if he grew that joint out, it would legit be the George Jefferson.
I'm glad it's.
I've had it. Hey,
choose to be bald, bro.
I had it out when I was.
But you know what,
myself
though?
in the mirror,
And
yo.
You're like, I'm done.
But for the
this.
record, the only reason why I would tease him is because I know the only reason I would tease him because I know he's self-deprecating with it, or else I would.
But you know what? It's not like you don't have a head that's good for being bald.
Yeah, I got a good peanut.
Good for you.
It's good for court. Yeah. Because I remember I went to court and I had to rock my Captain Picard.
You got the toilet seat too?
Yeah, no, it comes down lower. So I brought it down here. Yeah, I've had the Jefferson before, and with my man Brett. Shout out to Brett Carter.
Push that Joe back.
Said the newborn baby. Yeah. When you got the little piece right here.
Oh Lord!
He said you're
Look
gonna
at
cut the
Marcus,
newborn,
man.
Yeah,
newborn
fuck you,
baby.
because you got hair.
But
Okay.
A full
but
head.
going to
that.
court, the Jefferson or the Picard with a nice suit on
Yeah.
and some black
Some
glasses,
black glasses.
you good.
You
Good.
official.
You
I'm
good.
out.
You're official.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
you no longer fit the description.
and hence why I've had this for the last 30 years, because I started going bald early.
Yeah.
When you were young, young.
Ain't no half-step, Marcus. All right, let's
Getting there.
get back to it. All right, so the short version of long story on this one, and please excuse, we got a little bit of static, but we're working through it. The short version of a long story, and you heard the tapes. Basically, what it is the Republican leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy, during the January 6th insurrection riot perpetuated and supported by then President Donald Trump. He has been vocal, Kevin McCarthy has, about this, and he's been supportive of the president openly, hugely supportive of the president openly. Yet when it was going down, it appears that he had a conscience, that he knew how crazy it was, like all of us did at the time, and he wanted him to resign.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, that isn't the case, because he realizes that while those of us with any sense in this country realize how detrimental and destructive Donald Trump is, not just as a president, but as a person and personality in our country, he realizes that there is a strong lot of folks here who not only support him, see his vision, want it to be the prevailing thought of Americans here in our country. So having said all of that, Kevin McCarthy has decided that he is no longer going to have any sense, and he is going to go backwards to what he was saying and doing in the immediate moment while it was going on, because he realizes politically it is helpful to him to have the support of former President Donald Trump. So let's talk about that level of hypocrisy and how destructive it is to us as people, Grizz.
Well, it's only hypocritical to us, to their supporters who, and to be strange enough, McCarthy's from California.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's a Republican, so either he's being funded by a whole bunch of bikers, white racist bikers in his district, or I don't know how they keep him in office, but that's wrong. But I mean, it's not hypocritical. That's who they are. I mean, if that's hypocrisy, I don't know what is. I don't know what was going on. There you go. I'm on fire. The static got it. Boy. But McCarthy. I mean, honestly, I don't put nothing past these fools. I don't. It could be DeSantis. It could be Trump. It could be. The only thing that I'm really concerned about is how did these guys get power? Because they're three-tooth sloths that live in Appalachia and like butt plugs that support this, and it's enough of them. So that's my point. I know you didn't like that, Marcus, but it's the truth.
Ain't no half stuff, Marcus J. Live from New Dan Legacy, and you gotta love him because he's trying.
He is. He's working on it.
Yeah, but it's already run its course. It's not funny no more. So
Three-tooth Floridian crocodile butt pluggers are Trumpers.
Steph, what you got here?
I think first of all, it's hugely hypocritical, but even more so, it's blatant lies. So he's receiving messaging, from everybody from Mark Meadows to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Kevin McCarthy's exchanging messages with everyone. And because you didn't know you were being recorded, you were very comfortable. Like Friday, this news came out Thursday. Friday, his representative came out and said, this is factually incorrect. Not this is a lie or misstatement. This is factually incorrect. By Friday night, we have audio on Rachel Maddow. By Thursday night. By Friday, he's coming out and he's not even being held accountable for the truth. He was able to come out and make another excuse. And this is how they continue to win. The people who believe the lies already believe the lies. It's not going to change anything. The people who don't believe it, who knew he was lying in the first place, they don't have enough gumption to push forward. They're just like, oh, we're going to stick on What message are you standing on? People don't understand Build Back Better. That says nothing to me. I want to hear Democrats right now say, okay, so guys, are you good with McCarthy being a liar? And now today we have Rick Perry, same thing, saying that he never knew anything, and yet he sent Mark Meadows text messages and signed them Rick Perry. Same thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's just ridiculous. But the people who buy it are going to buy it. They are complicit. We now see that everybody in the Republican, or excuse me, we're more comfortable calling them Tea Party because we're afraid there is no Tea Party that is in control. We have a two-party system legally, Democrat and Republican right now. And so right now, you can say they're all Tea Party people, but that's who represents your party. So this is now the new Republican. This is what the new Republican Party is. It's not that the Tea Party, the Tea Party took over, but they took the brand that stands, and it's the Republican brand.
Yeah, I understand that, but I also think that it is a fair argument when you talk about factions in the party. Now, you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, we are dealing with Republicans, but and I had a dog in a race because they're purple people to me. They're opposite sides of the same bird,
sure.
With the Democrats being the blue side and the Republicans being the red side, that makes purple. There are sides of the Democratic Party that I am confident the mainstream Democrats are not proud of, that cause them to look bad. And so it's kind of the same thing. Certainly not a argument that is I'm passionate enough to debate. That would be more of a John discussion, but I will kind of throw it to you here, John. I'd like to know what your thoughts are here with regards to Kevin McCarthy, and because I think there's a bigger picture here. I think the bigger picture is you've got a politician once again that's caught in a very big lie, where we have a decision to make here as a country. Are we going to hold him to it? Are we going to hold him accountable? I think if we were to remain consistent on the things that we've talked about with regards to the blood and the cuz, Republicans and the Democrats, the red and the blue is a bunch of punks who don't really take a strong stand with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors with them, whereas the Republicans are more likely to lie right to you and say, wasn't me. And I think we're getting ready to see with Kevin McCarthy a "would me" situation. We all get that reference, Eddie Murphy Raw. If you don't know, then you're probably too young to be listening to this show. But you understand what I'm saying, John. Pick up here what you got.
So McCarthy is like any of the elected Republicans, because that's what they are, like Steph said. I just don't like the idea of them, for people to not understand that is not what they promote, is not Republican politics, although they are the Republicans. After it happened, after they cleared the room, Lindsey Graham and the other dude with the woman with the wife who steals all the stuff from China, what's his name?
McConnell.
Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham made compelling speeches on the floor of the Senate, damning what had happened, calling it out for what it was. And after that day, made a 180-degree turn on it and began to support Trump. And nobody is holding them accountable for it. And I tell people all the time, you got 72 million Americans who voted for Donald Trump. Every last one of them, sans maybe a million, are racist. They're racist white supremacists, because those are the only people who could vote for Trump in any kind of political arena. And a good third of the Democratic Party are racist white supremacists. So if you figure that out, most of the people who vote in this country are racist white supremacists. And the white people who call themselves not that, they're that too because they accept this. They accept it. I used to watch political news faithfully until I started realizing that the people who I thought were on the good side of things really weren't, because they let so much slide. Again, it's about the mouse. Remember that. You can't really say what the truth is, because the mouse will correct you. Right? So when we get into these kind of situations, we got to remember what we're dealing with. We're dealing with America. And the American people want things to stay basically as they are. Right? It's like wrestling. You got a good guy, you need a bad guy. Right? Blacks are the bad guys. White people are the good guys. Right? They need to keep that narrative afloat. White people discovered and made everything. They discovered and made everything, and black people are just not good enough to catch up to white people ever in life. So let's feel sorry for them, but let's make sure they stay in their place, because they have a tendency to go like Will Smith and Mike Tyson on people. Right? So all of this political theater, all of this talk and nonsense, and Ukraine and all it comes down to, when you get to the core, to the root of it, is there's about 300 million white people on the planet. It's about 3 billion black people on the planet.
Damn.
And if you count the black people of what they call other races, Asian blacks, Indian blacks, and other kind of blacks, it's a lot more than that. Because guess what? Most of the people in China are darker than Steph. Right? So,
Darker than who?
Steph, you're nice Carmel Brown. You go to Central
They ain't darker
China.
than me.
Yes, they are. That's
There
the
are
people
some
you
that
don't.
are
You
definitely
that's
in
the
a-
people they don't show you.
It's the ones who are part of a different faith, the ones that they're actually suppressing right now.
Right. And the same thing if you go to South America. Most of the people over there is pretty brown. You go anywhere around the world, most of the people you're gonna see.
You go
Latin
anywhere.
America.
You go anywhere other than Europe, the world is brown.
Right.
Pretty much.
So
Good point.
with that understanding, this is why white supremacy, right? White supremacy, racism, under any means necessary, must be maintained. So all of this political theater, y'all think they talking about, and Grizz says something about rednecks. Rednecks, listen, I'm good with rednecks, because all rednecks want to do is drink and barbecue and mind they mind their business.
True that.
Rednecks know how to mind their business.
They just have a lot of
Right? The problem is they get this bad narrative from people who have much less in common with them
right.
than the people who they're told to hate do, right? And they're giving this narrative about Mexicans coming across the border to take their jobs. You would not do the job that the Mexican does for the dollar that he does it.
Sure
So
won't.
stop. He's not taking your job. Black people want your women. Trust, we do not want your women. We barely want our own. We don't want to deal with your women, because all they're gonna do is get us locked up.
Ooh, ain't that the truth?
I'll say this too. I think there's a level of distraction engaged with this, and there is a level of overall maintenance that's being done here. And I agree with you that it's no different than you look at the issues with the Ukrainians being allowed to come in through the Mexican border, and they being treated totally different. We like the immigrants that we like. We like the ones who increase Republican votership or are perceived to be doing that. We like them with white skin. so that we don't have to face the browning of America. And when I say we, I'm not talking about me. We, y'all know who I'm talking about.
America.
And America has always functioned that way. So there is it's somewhat of a need to maintain it. And one of the biggest issues with politicians is going to have to be that from now on, and John talks about this all the time, your vote has to mean something. You have to now have expectations for the vote, because what they're clearly showing you is you can come in here and just lay down your vote and leave if you want to, but we're going to make these votes count all year long.
One of the things,
and the ones that we don't count, we're going to count them again.
One of the things I think I've learned in this political era is you got to actually dig a little bit deeper than what you see through normal means, like the media, the pundits, and stuff like that. And so, and a lot of times it's right in front of your face. You just don't want to believe it. But I honestly believe Trump was manufactured like a Manchurian type candidate type of guy. I never heard anything back from the Inquirer guy, who was one of his biggest donors, who probably had the most dirt on these politicians. And that's how Trump was able to come into power within the Republican Party. He's got dibs on Lindsey Graham with the gimp mask and a stuffed ball in his mouth, drooling with a butt plug in him, and another big burly black guy behind him. He's got that. Trump got it. On the same thing on McCarthy. McCarthy is probably in LA with a giraffe stuffed animal toy on, with a whole bunch of Ricky Martins doing a La Vida Loca on his bunghole. He got that. Trump's got that on them, and they just chicken shit and don't want to claim it.
I dig what you trying to say. You trying to fuck with me in your point. No, you trying to fuck with me. You trying to fuck with me in your point. But I dig what you trying to say. What you basically trying to say is Trump got some on these cats, and that's the reason why they won't cross him. And I could dig it. And the thing is, the person who is the big dog in the yard don't care if you got something on them. They don't. You know what I'm saying? They don't. They don't care.
But
and in this case, it's Donald Trump.
Right.
He's the big dog in the yard because grabbing by the pussy didn't work. You know what I'm saying? And
32 sex allegations.
You're just gonna steal my thunder, man.
Y'all are funny as hell.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Nothing.
Hey, you're talking about me.
Nothing sticks to this dude. Nothing.
No.
Nothing. Nothing sticks to him. The insurrection where he stood in front of the entire world and said, and I'm going to go there with you. That didn't stick to him. You see what I'm saying? Nothing sticks to the dude. So we gotta deal with that. We got to deal with that. And how you deal with that is you got to take out those subordinates. You can't let this Kevin McCarthy thing go like it's nothing.
True.
Like you got to deal with that.
Exactly.
You got to deal with that. And that's the reason why what's going on in New York. See, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but just today,
yes,
they decided that Trump was in contempt of court.
Yep.
And they fined him $10,000 a day.
Shout out to AG Tish. Shout out. Won't she do it?
You know what I'm saying? And so here's that.
They tried to quietly stop us.
All right, so listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna transition right there. We got some salutations we need to dish, and then we're gonna do one more topic, and then we're gonna move on for the night. Y'all ready to get it, John? You good?
I'm great.
Grizz, you good? I don't gotta ask you because you I can see what you're doing. You good? Steph, you good?
I'm good.
All right, ain't no how Steph Marcus J is happy and proud to say peace to big cousin Tony in Jersey City. He's saying peace, big cuz.
Hey,
bruh,
cuz.
don't you know you big cuz? Come on, man. Love you, cuz. And say peace to the family to me. And then one of my favorite people in the history of my life is saying good morning.
All right.
Big sister saying good morning, right? And so when she says good morning, we stop the show, we look at the camera, and as a group, we look at it and we say, good morning, Sue. Yeah, ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dash. Yeah. Speaking of Batman, I watched the Batman yesterday.
I'm watching it.
Oh, that movie was great.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, John, we're gonna talk offline. We're gonna talk offline. We're
Okay,
gonna talk
I'm
offline.
glad you're saying that.
Oh, we're gonna
'cause
talk
I've been
offline.
hesitating.
Oh, Sue, it was
Keep
so
hesitating,
good.
please.
It was so good.
No, I'm a watch. I gotta watch.
It wasn't better. Than
Okay,
Was
so
it
here's the
better
problem.
than the
It wasn't.
last
It wasn't
two?
better
If the
than Spider-Man.
bar's low,
Why? Because of Ben Affleck?
everything becomes great.
No,
I
no.
don't know if Mark would do that.
No. We should have did this early in the show. we really should have done this early in the show. I tell you what. Y'all want to do the Batman? You ain't seen it. Though.
I
Next
haven't
week.
seen it.
All right, never mind.
Next
Next week we
I
gonna.
don't have watched.
Yeah, next
Yeah,
week we
we'll
gonna
do
do
a
the
couple
Batman.
movies and TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, next week, and just somebody remind me because
Y'all watching Atlanta?
No, I don't
Oh,
watch
they
that.
getting it
But the Batman
They
was
getting it
great.
in.
Wait a minute. You don't watch Atlanta?
I wanted to, but I got into it late, and so
What?
I don't watch
Same
Atlanta.
here.
I
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, almost white people in Atlanta because it took. I almost wrote to the actual company.
Yeah.
I wanted to. It was that the episode was so good. I wanted to know the one where he played.
I don't know what you're talking.
Yeah, the other characters.
Yeah, he played.
Yeah, that was like
I did that
phenomenal.
one.
I did see
I
that.
I
online.
wanted to write FX or that's the company, right?
Yes, it's
and that's
FX.
strangely that's Fox. But I'd be like, who the hell wrote
The only
script?
time,
And I think it's like a Japanese guy that
the
writes.
only
the script.
time I ever wrote, and I did write.
Donald
The
writes a
only
lot of it,
time
too.
I
You
ever
do?
wrote to the
James.
studio is in 1990 when Beverly Hills 90210 first came out. I loved the show so much, but they
Damn,
had no
Mark.
black people on it,
That
and
was
so
you
I
wanted
wrote to
black
them,
people.
and I wanted them to put
What show
black
did
people-
White man?
I was that kid at
Right.
But
I was
the
that
problem-
kid
the
at
problem
16,
is
yo.
the zip
What
I
code,
Lisa?
wrote-
What Lisa Turtle?
Hey,
at?
look, I wrote to Darren
Turtle.
Star. I said, I love y'all show. We just need some black people on
Right.
it.
They were struggling. They were
That's
struggling.
Mark.
they was
That
trying-
sounds like some Mark.
Yeah,
shit
I did
right
it.
there.
I did it. They know how to spell Mark Jackson. All right, so look, this is the last thing we're gonna get to, right? John, I want to talk a little bit about Black excellence, and I need to know, Steph, Grizz. We've talked a lot tonight about a lot of stuff, but one of the things I want to talk about is Black excellence, and I want to talk about it as it relates to racism and white supremacy. And we know how we move. I get frustrated, y'all get frustrated when we see the worst of us being represented as
Us.
the most of us.
Mhm.
And I am one of those people who is convinced that the best of us is the prevailing
grouping
of our people. So, John, you up first. The question is Black excellence a solution to white supremacy?
So I was pondering that last few days, and I'm gonna tell you what set it off. 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? I don't know. We were at our regular spot Wednesday night, right? Croker spot, Hull Street, Richmond, Croker spot, right? We were there doing our thing, and I had to look around the room. There are two rooms. There's a dining area, and then there's the bar area, and the bar area has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 booths, and there's maybe 8 bar stools. So as I looked around the room and I examined everybody in the room was black, and everybody in the room was well-to-do, right? And it was amazing because I thought about what was going on next door at Brewers on Hall Street. There were also a bar and a main dining area. And when I walked out the room and I saw the bar, it was all black. And it was all well-to-do. Right? We're in the former capital of the South, and where the first armory for the Confederacy was housed right down the block from the New Den is now the Black History Museum. Right? As Steph always makes mention of when she can, Black women are doing it like no other, right? Opened more businesses, achieved more education, and are becoming the new rich of the country. Black people officially last month became the second highest number of millionaires in the country, right? Provided that we're only approximately 13 to 16% of the population based on who you ask. We make up the second largest percentage of millionaires. We're outdoing our number percentage wise. And if you went by percentages, not hard numbers, we are probably the top in the country. So, and this is in spite of an increased, openly racist, white supremacist attitude that the country has taken on since 2008. A lot of people say that Barack Obama didn't even do anything for Black people. But what he did was create an image, like we were talking about earlier, imaging, messaging. He created an image with this beautiful Black woman and these beautiful Black children and his Black identifying self, for people who got a problem with it because he had a white mama and her daddy is George Bush's cousin and worked for the CIA. All that don't mean nothing to me because I know where the bodies are. The fact is, he created an image that became Black excellence. And from the time of 2008, Black people have shown up and shown out. Now, we still have an issue because that type of excellence has empowered and emboldened the overall white community in America. And we see this outward aggression towards Black people from white people. But what we're not seeing is the old Negro spiritual, we shall overcome. I think we might have did it. I think we might have did it. Unfortunately, though, the average Black family only has $5 of wealth. $5. The average Black family, $5. Where the average white family is like $15,000 or something like that. But I do believe that's changing. I do believe we're on our way because of social media. Because every other meme I see is some Black person telling other Black people how to make some money online, how to take care of their taxes, how to fix their credit, how to do this. And if you get 2 out of 100, that's 2 more than you wouldn't have had if it wasn't for the social media. So I see things. The media is showing us one thing, but if you look behind the curtain, I see something else. Now, the systemic racism, white supremacy that this country is founded on and has permeated the world is still as strong as it ever was, and it might be worse for us in certain ways. But fortunately for us, the internet has somewhat leveled the playing field because don't nobody ever got to see you get your money. You can get your money and never have to leave your house, and they don't even know if you're Black unless you tell them.
A mystique.
Right? So I kind of believe that I don't think it's conquered racism, but I think that Black excellence has begun our journey to escaping the overall influence of racism. And one last thing before I put this down. I hate when that happens.
You mean like how y'all did it to me earlier?
Yeah, I just did it to myself though.
Yeah.
I'm geriatric shit going on over here.
Instead of rudeness?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So black people in this country are creating a lane, right? Or have created a lane that we move in that is so different and unique that you have white people beginning to emulate black excellence, right? And we got to be careful. We got to be careful because if you want to find the oldest depiction of the Last Supper, it'll be somewhere in a museum, either at the Vatican or Great Britain, and it's 12 black dudes. The oldest depiction of the Last Supper is 12 black dudes. If you want to look at the oldest depiction of the Virgin Mary, and it's a black woman and a black baby, right? So we got to be careful where we're at right now, because 2,000 years from now, Eminem will be the new Jesus, right? White people will have created hip hop, and anything that hip hop, the blue, they would have been the slaves in this country. They would have been the slaves, and they would have overcame civil unrest and injustice, and taken everything that we've done and turned it into their own. They've mastered it, so let's just be careful with that.
Steph, jump in.
I think it's an easy answer. Yeah, so the question was, so that if anybody forgot, the question was, is black excellence the answer to white supremacy? Am I right?
Yes.
So, no, he said he said, is it the answer? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So, no, that we don't control white supremacy. So we don't get to determine what the answer is. And we shouldn't be held accountable for answering that. It's the 2 times better analogy that I consistently push away from. That's a black narrative. White people are not in their homes telling their children, make sure these Negroes are not 2 times better than you. They're not thinking about that. They're not processing us in that way. What it really boils down to is black excellence for the sake of being excellent, elevating our lives, and putting ourselves in a position of where I don't have to think about supremacy on a regular basis, because I don't own supremacy. It's kind of like when people want an explanation, but when your white friends are like, help me understand. And I immediately say, no, you help me understand. You created it. Came from your folk. You guys pass it down and bequeath it like grandma's china. That didn't come from my people. Now, if you want to ask me about something that we created, ask me. I know how to talk about everything from peanut butter to the stoplight and everything in between. I got you. But when it comes to white supremacy, there is no answer that white supremacists will allow. It's built a certain way. So to make black people, to hinge something so great as my excellence on how someone views me robs me of the opportunity to enjoy my excellence. I don't owe it to you. It doesn't have to answer to your supremacy. It has no responsibility there. I get to enjoy it totally disconnected from your negative idea of who I am and how I exist. And I think we give it, supremacy, so much. It's amazing. We'll talk about accountability and all the things that we need to do as individuals. And we turn around, we look at a question like this and we're like, oh yeah. It's not going to answer that. That's not, people have been excellent before me and you. Black women were excellent before we started getting degrees and things like that. There were black men creating excellence when they were building organizations and movements. We've been excellent. Asking that question is almost like not acknowledging the fact that we've been excellent in the face of. Martin Luther King is talked about today because he was black excellence. Malcolm X, same thing. What I guess I would like to know, I guess the real question is to those folk, what level of black excellence would make you stop feeling supreme to black people? And I think at the end of the day, that's not a question for us to be answering. Our excellence is about us. And I think what we need to do a better job of is acknowledging the excellence in our space. That's what's really holding us back at this point. Expecting them to open the door and be like, hey, come in here and work with us, and I see how awesome you are. It's not going to happen. John just prior to all of this was making the statement about how they maintain supremacy. Why would my performance all of a sudden make you think I'm good enough to be present? Supremacy says I'm not good enough to be present. Supremacy says that I can come and produce, but I cannot lead. Supremacy says I can be in the room because I'm accepted, but don't expect to be welcome. If all of those things exist, how is it possible that 3 degrees, being a great mom, all these, first of all, that's also saying that they get to determine what my excellence looks like. We really need to come to grips, and we need to get in the moment of being so comfortable looking at one another. I think the reason we even ponder that question, because that to me is a realistic question, because it is the way we typically think about racism and supremacy. It's where respectability politics comes from. If we just pull up our pants and wear suits, and if we know how to tie a Windsor knot, all of a sudden we're going to be these acceptable people. You're all acceptable exactly as you are right now. And not only you're acceptable, you have raised good human beings. You are great husbands or fathers.
Thank you.
Why do they get to determine where that sits in the spectrum? What's more important is that Black people haven't made space for Black excellence. Black people are still buying into some of the words and tropes of white supremacy. Black people are the ones who sit around and talk about, you better be 2 times as good. What? Bet 2 times as good as somebody I'm already better than?
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from New Day and Legacy in that radio. We're getting a hit from our sister Sharon, who I 100% agree with. She nailed it when she says, I love this sister. Tell the truth. She talking about you, Steph.
Thank you, Sharon.
Grizz,
I
jump in
appreciate
here.
you, sis.
Thank you, sister.
You know what, Chris?
Right.
That's why she here, Sharon.
She's just
Thank you, Sharon.
that's why she is.
And I appreciate the support. I do. The listeners are clearly, I think I'll say this real quick so Grizz can get in. I think about Marcus in this environment the way that a lot of people thought about someone who was a legend in the spoken word environment here, which was Lorna.
Oh my goodness. I went to Union with her.
She was very big, and she was another Northerner.
She from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn, that's right. I didn't want to go there because
Yeah, I know. But it's the truth.
But she's in
from Queens?
Brooklyn. What? Come on now. But if I say it, then immediately, Brooklyn people.
No, it's appropriate.
But
Here it's appropriate.
I want to say that, you create a space where people do give their flowers, and that was huge for her. And the people that I know that were touched by her more directly than I had the opportunity to be will always talk. That's her legacy.
Yeah.
And I believe that's going to be a part of your legacy, is that when people compliment one of us that are in our listening audience, I always recognize that it's because of the space you build. And I appreciate you for that.
And I appreciate you for sharing that with me. One of the 5 love languages is words of affirmation, which is
that Gemini stuff.
It is words of affirmation.
Yes.
All 5 of them are very personal to me. But words of affirmation is equally important to me, or mostly important to me on both sides of it. I am the way that I am because I need to, or I'd like to receive. So I treat people how I want to be treated. So Grizz, we were giving each other's flowers. Now it's your turn. I don't know what's happening right now. Just tell your comment. I don't know what he's.
I'm gonna punch him. I know.
Do you want me to?
I mean, I know, but I'm not gonna put him
over.
Don't
do it.
Yeah.
Don't.
I don't want to date myself, but
no one wants to date
that
you.
Means you're old.
No one wants to date you.
Right. Quite the contrary.
Mrs. Grizz is at home like, I don't want to date him.
She don't. No, she don't. But, quite the contrary. But 64, 65, 68. Equal access, voting, and housing. What's that? 55 years ago?
Yeah.
It's an experiment. And we, or I, because we're of all a similar age, are a product of that experiment. So
Mhm.
what America, this is what I like to look at in regards to black excellence, in regards to juxtaposed against white supremacy. Is like where has the meter jumped, or for me personally, because if you go out to the polls in November, people are gonna vote their pocketbook. You know, a steak is now $5 instead of $2.50. So it don't matter if you black, white, all that other behind the scenes, historical, all of that has validity. But at the end of the day, people gonna vote their pocketbook. And I look back and I say, well, what has happened or transpired in the last 55 to 60 years that has impacted for me, not in a selfish way, but as a people, as black folk? Well, there are some pros and there are some cons. There are some pluses and some negatives. But the fact of the matter is that people walk around with the new red hat or the new swastika. After all of this has been done, this is here. This is reality. I got a neighbor with Trump one sign is still in his yard. Y'all are liars, you know. So to make a long story short, I have no problem within the next same 50 years, the tail end of 100 for me, if my generation sees the separation of themselves from all of this. Desegregation was tried. And you see where they still gon'
be who they are.
They still, the day after the election in 2016, my youngest son come downstairs to me as I'm getting ready to go to work before I leave the house and said, "What does last night mean? Do I have to fight when I go to school?"
Wow.
I ain't never thought I had to have a conversation. The way I was raised and the upbringing and the fortune and just 64, 65, and 68 helped to bring somebody like me in to be able to raise my sons
and create black excellence,
and create
right?
black excellence. But still to this day, my baby got to ask me, do I have to fight these white boys when I go to school? So at the end of the day, I'm saying, nah. What we got to do is we got to separate. And I ain't got no problem doing it because we didn't see both sides. I've studied historically one side, and I've physically lived another side. And I can see, well, I can see your namesake, Marcus Garvey, saying in 1908, let's go back. Let's leave them because they ain't fitting.
100 years ago.
100 years ago. But I can see in the next 50 years.
And look at our progress, and still we're fighting.
I can see these youngins. That's why I don't fight. There's a lot of generational changes that I do fight because I just want to be a grumpy old man. But for the most part, there are changes that I encourage within my sons. Don't kill yourself, because at the end of the day, don't kill yourself
for the movement.
For the movement, because they buying houses with people's money and all that I saw on the news. Don't do that, because my oldest, I told you this, I had to call you.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I had to call my oldest son. My oldest son was turned, and I would never thought he would be the type. But when I look back at it, I was like, damn, they got it so bad that they got my boy ready to go down here and lose his life over some shit that happened in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And I think a really interesting question would be to any people in your life that reflect themselves as white or people of color, because we've clearly seen that POC doesn't mean black. People of color will call the police on black folk too, right? They recognize that they are model minorities, and we're not one of them. So we have to be careful. But I would simply look to the person that is in that community and say, at what point did you realize black excellence existed? Most of them will not know how to answer that question. And if they do, it's going to sound like the things that have nothing, that are esoteric where we're concerned, right? They're going to be so unrelated to the regular average black person that it will never be possible for regular, average Black people to just live and be excellent in their space. If you say, where is Black excellence? And you can't say, Black women working hard to overcome educational disparities, to build homes in spite of, right?
Yeah.
To be able to, we're the last ones to get to vote amongst the majority minorities. So white women, Black men, and then Black women, we're the last ones to get the chance to vote. If you don't see it in there, if the closest thing you can say as a white person is Oprah, you'll never buy it. You'll never understand it, because most of us ain't Oprah and won't be.
Absolutely
We're
not.
excellent anyway.
Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus, J Live from New Day and Legacy and that radio. Let me get a couple of comments. And Sharon is still listening. She says, my first time listening, and it won't be the last. I'm a Jersey sister myself.
Hey.
Lorna was such a gift to us all. She absolutely was. We started Virginia Union University together in the early
I didn't know
90s.
that.
And, I knew Lorna back then. And we weren't in touch. We weren't friends or anything. I knew who she was. And I was just enamored at the reach that she had in this town and the love that she had in this town. And
you can see her brand and
you-
2 or
you-
3
you
remaining
can-
brands.
It's still here. And,
Yeah.
and in the interest of transparency, I don't know if she knew who I was. I knew who she was. I knew who she was when we were at Union. I don't know if she knew who I was back then, but I saw her and I watched her and I observed her. And in the early years of Legacy Internet Radio was the early years of her doing her thing. And so we paralleled, and we never had an opportunity to cross promote each other's brands or anything like that. And so I just, any opportunity that we have to say her name, I'm going to say her name on this show. We're also going to shout out Team Davis. Team Davis is checking us out. They said, we talk instead of shining light on ourselves. You should stop being average. Ain't no Hastel, Marcus J Live from New Day and Legacy in that radio. We got a call on a live line. Caller, what's your name? What's your comment?
Hello, Marcus. How you doing?
Peace. Peace. Who's calling?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Caller, what's your name? What's your comment?
My name is Jacqueline, and I am from Fort Smith, Virginia.
Thank you for calling, Jacqueline. What's your comment?
And I like y'all topic, what y'all was stating. And what I noticed about Fort Smith and what I noticed about Virginia, because I'm from another state, and what I noticed is they don't have nothing for any type of recreation for the kids, no type of program, after school program, nothing for the kids to like, after they come from school, no type of, after school program, like I said, I'm just repeat myself, but they don't have nothing.
Can I speak to her?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, she's right. And one of the things that has transpired over the 50 years that we talked about, the 64, 65, and 68, these civil rights acts, is that all this money and all of this capital was put into the inner cities to build these programs. And then Reagan comes along and guts them. I remember when I grew up, the Boys Club of Richmond is torn down now, used to be United Way, was my sanctuary. Ain't no Boys Club. So I feel what you're saying, sister. Yeah, no, that was a big deal. That was a safety net for little Black kids.
Jacqueline, you nailed it. And we definitely understand what you're saying. And we agree with what you're saying. Do you have a final comment for us?
You said what?
We were just saying we understand what you're saying and we agree with you. Do you have a final comment before we let you go?
I didn't understand what you're saying because you kind of break it up.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me understand what you're saying.
We're just saying we understand what you're saying and we agree with you. We were just asking, do you have a final comment for us?
That I came to this state and, I like the scenery, but I'm just not really pointing to us. I'm not pointing to the Black community, but I just want us to, more give back.
Right.
If you have it,
Right.
I see you have it, and I see a lot of Black people have it.
Right.
It's gonna be grateful.
Well, we understand. Go ahead.
But you put in your investment in a lot of other stuff. Why can't you put your investment in like a historical library, like a urban league? Helping the youth or the young adult to understand, like you said, your son to understand, Daddy, I have to come home and fight somebody, or I have to come home to understand young adolescent. He has to understand to even grow up or understand to grow up. They got to fight that. So it angers me for we don't have nothing. I don't see it. To me, I don't see it.
We understand where you're coming from. We appreciate you. We appreciate your passion for this. We thank you for listening and being a part of tonight's show.
Maybe we can get together and write a grant.
That would be outstanding. How you're listening, you have access to our feeds. If you're serious about what you're saying, send an inbox to one of us, and we could talk with you further about doing that.
Okay, I will inbox you my email and my number, and I'm serious about it.
Well, we thank you. Thank you so much for listening and watching with us tonight. Keep on listening, keep on watching, and share this with other folks, because the more folks we have like you watching and listening, the more work we can do.
Okay, you have a good night.
You too. Thank you so much.
What a sweetheart.
Absolutely a sweetheart. We thank her. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Let me just say this in reference to the topic that we're in as we work towards limited time left in the show. I just want to make my comment on Black excellence here. I've kind of gotten to a point in my life where I'm no longer interested in code switching. I don't do it no more. You're gonna get all of this black ass Marcus J, which is gonna be a mix and hybrid of intellect, big ass words, cuss words, and slang. All that shit it be a part of me, and I promise you, I'm black and I'm excellent, and that should be enough. It really should. It should be enough. It's enough for John. It's enough for Grizz. It's enough for Steph. It's enough for Jacqueline. And it's enough for everybody that's watching and listening right now. And these are people. These are Americans. And it doesn't matter what color they are. You know why? Because we are all here together. And I am not one that subscribes myself to white supremacy in a way where I view myself in any way inferior. I don't. That's the baseline. That's where we have to start. That's where all of us have to start. Because the reality is, folks don't like it when I say this. I used to say this on the show all the time, and people would get mad at me, but I don't care. Black folks as a whole are afraid of white people. Afraid of white people. What does that mean? Ain't nobody scared of no white people. You scared of white people. Why? You know how I know? Because when you say white people, you say white people. You whisper it with white people around. And when you hear people like us speak how we speak, you bug like, oh man, you can't say nothing like that. Or oh man, they listening. Oh man, they gonna shut you down. Like, so what? They don't worry about how they speak. So if we gonna be black and we gonna be excellent, the first thing we need to be is confident. That's the first thing. That is the absolute first thing. And need to be confident in who you are. Need to be confident in how you move. You need to be confident in what you do. You need to be confident in how you navigate this wilderness they call America. You need to be 100 with it and quit worrying about what white people think. I promise you, they ain't worried about what you think.
Not at all.
There is nothing in how they move that would suggest that they worried about how you think. They just not. So black excellence, first thing is do what you do. Because we forget that most of what happened in this country came off of our backs. If you look around, we do moments in Black history, right? If you legit look up, most of the stuff that you do, most of the things that you use was created by Black people. Stoplights, watches, the internet, the remote control,
The filament in a light bulb.
the filament in a light bulb. Like, come
Hold
on, man.
Thomas
Like,
Edison
come on, man.
ain't pay him.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. He was an apprentice to a white man.
And didn't make a dime off of that.
Lewis Latimer. Lewis Latimer was an apprentice to Thomas Edison.
Yep.
And Lewis Latimer was the one that did the whole light bulb filament thing. And Thomas Edison got the credit. And so this is one instance, where all you got to do is get into your book. That is, of course, if they correctly put down what really actually happened. So come on, man. We got our own greatness. We don't need to be walking around worrying about no Black excellence. We excellent because we Black. That's it. That's Black excellence. When Steph said earlier, the whole we need to be twice women, we all said it. I can't speak for her, but my guess is at some point maybe she did. I know I've said it. I know that it was said to me. We've all had this. We've got to be twice as good as. Yeah, you know what? You know what? All you have to do is stop thinking that the first 5 minutes of the news every night represents who we are. Because this ain't no conspiracy. It's a plan. It's like this on purpose. It's like this because we are culturally conditioned in this country to believe that white is right. And the manifestation of that is that we are underestimated, undervalued in this country. I stole that. That's the Black Eagle, Joe Madison, who says that. And it's the fact. It's the truth. So we need to be aware of that. The first thing we need to do is know who we is.
Tell him, boy.
I steal that from him because that's how he talks. That's why he laughing.
He loved that.
Because I stole his shit. I stole his shit. So, but it's the reality and it's what it is. Ain't no ask Steppin, Marcus J. Live from New Day and Legacy in that radio. This is a point that we can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But the last thing that I will say about this, and one of I can't remember if it was you, Steph, or you, John, but when we were doing our pre-talk earlier, we were talking about how the FBI targeted certain members of our community in history.
Yeah,
Malcolm X,
our chain message.
Martin Luther King, Angela Davis. Martin Luther King got shot in his face. Malcolm X was made to be a pariah amongst his own people until he was murdered by his people under the orders of the United States government. And we saw what happened with Angela Davis. Look at what's going on with Black Lives Matter. These people are pariahs. Why? Because they say Black Lives Matter.
And
I don't care
the
nothing.
Government was against that messaging.
I don't care nothing about the organization. I don't care nothing about no organization. The organization, whatever. The messaging. Black Lives Matter. That's it. That's it. We live in a country where we got to actually say that. We got to actually say Black Lives Matter, and we got to argue with white people about saying Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. Like, come on. So we black, we excellent. That's the end of that. Ain't no ask Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy. And I'm not arguing with these people no more.
You can't.
I'm not. Let other black people argue with them. Those are the black people that Harriet Tubman would have shot. Ain't no ask Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. I want to move on, and we're gonna do some history. We're gonna do some missing children. We're gonna rant. We're gonna close. We're gonna get the hell out of here. All right. We're gonna start with our missing children. Tonight we are looking for 2 young sisters, both in Henrico County, which is part of us here in the capital city of Richmond, Virginia. Tonight we're looking for LaRasia Teasley. She's been missing since April 10th. 17-year-old black female who stands 5'6", 130. She goes by the nickname Lala. She wears eyeglasses and has tattoos of a rose and the name Rita on her left arm. She requires medication and may be in the need of medical attention. We are also looking for LaShia Turner, also missing from in Henrico County. She's a 17-year-old black female who stands 5'3", weighs 220 pounds. She requires medication. If you have seen LaShia Turner, or if you have seen LaRasia Teasley, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. If you are local, contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. We are also doing our moment in Black history. And let's see what we got here. Let's start with 1987. The United States Supreme Court upheld the death penalty in McCleskey versus Kemp, despite proof it is racially biased, reasoning that racial discrimination in the criminal justice system is inevitable. Inevitable.
Emphasize that word.
Inevitable. It ain't going down in a fair way.
Sorry about that.
2015, 9 states, including Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, recognized Confederate Memorial Day as an official state holiday to commemorate the surrender of the Confederate Army in April 1865. Translation: we don't care that is 150 years later. We gonna hold down our people.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like to me. The last one that we will get into, 1959, white mob beats, shoots, and throws chain body of Mac Charles Parker, a black man, in the Pearl River after he is accused of raping a white woman in Poplarville, Mississippi. Here we go with that bullshit again. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. I get fired up. Grizzy gets fired up. John can hardly contain himself. And Steph is busting from the seams. This is what happens when you got all this damn black excellence in one place.
Too much.
And
They
it's
can't
just
take
way
it.
too much. You can't take it. And it's all right, because we're going to get that shit to you every Monday from 7 until we finish right here. Live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. All right. It's time for us to get through our rants. It's time for us to get through our closings. Our very special guest is up first. This is where I give them flowers before they take the mic. Often I'll give it to them in my rant. I don't want to do that. I'm going to give them their flowers before they take the mic. Grizz, it's good to see you. I appreciate you. I love you. I can't stand you because you piss me off and you do it on purpose, but it's all right, because I appreciate the fact that you were one of the few that could get under my skin. And I understand why you try to do it, because you just think it's fun. Yeah. And it's all good, because we've been doing this for over 10 years. Yeah, over 10 years. And for those folks who may have been watching and listening tonight and was a little bit uncomfortable, don't be, because this is what we do. I love this man.
Love you too, bro. But
Grizz.
I don't even know who your audience is if they can't take the word butt plug. Seriously, you
You
know,
gotta get it in.
yeah.
Gotta get that last one.
Yeah.
in.
Thank you. It's good to see you, brother. I love you. This is what the rants and closings.
Yeah.
Oh,
Grizzlies gripes.
Grizzlies gripes. You know what, bro?
Grizzlies gripes.
In about 3 weeks, I'm about to cross that half millennium birthday.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you. And I'm so getting ready for it. I didn't think I don't know if anybody's ever noticed, but I'm trying to stave off the cool uncle look. You know, I'm trying to stave it off. Like I was in the lounges this past weekend. I was out here in these streets hollering at these young girls trying to see what's popping. And I'm telling you, my pockets ain't that deep, baby. My pockets ain't that deep. They's killing me out here.
Sugar daddy.
Oh, I want to
qualified.
be the sugar daddy, but
Not
these
qualified.
youngins.
I got one for you. I tell them this.
What's that?
I'm not sugar daddy material, but I make a good cinnamon uncle.
I put
cinnamon uncle.
Yeah, I'll be a good. I want to put money.
Don't nobody want a cinnamon uncle.
Yeah, I want to
No,
put.
listen, it's right about there.
Let me let you know.
Like, I'll get your
I'm
phone
gonna tell
bill.
you this.
I'll
if
get
I'm
your
gonna be
phone
your
bill.
sugar daddy, I'm gonna want some sugar.
Let me.
Right.
I feel
No,
the
but
same
look,
way.
Real talk.
I'll get your phone bill,
Right.
and we can go out every now and then. But I ain't paying your rent, and you ain't going on no shopping sprees. See, that's sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Cinnamon uncle.
He ain't no
I'll
trick.
get your phone bill, and we can go out.
Yeah, what he's saying. I'm almost at trick level, and I don't mind it because money come, money go. You can't take it with you where they put you 6 feet under. So I'm gonna let it ride on number 9 black. Let it ride. Let it ride. Anyway, it's great to be here. It's great to see you. It's great to get out. I'm happy to just get outside. I don't know what this world is going to turn into after COVID, but I do know things come in cycles. And like after World War One, and they had the Spanish flu, it was the Roaring '20s, and I'm just here for that. Bang, bang, bang! I'm just here for that. I'm just here for that.
Y'all, please get this man.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
And happy half a millennium.
Thank you. Hey, if y'all want some money on them books, I got it for you. I'm gonna give you a 1099
Chesterfield
right
County,
afterwards.
Chesterfield County Jail. Here he
Yeah,
goes.
no, you got to be 18, and I'm gonna give you 1099,
No.
and you not
putting
gonna
it
file.
on the books, help the
I'm putting it
prisoners,
on
forget
the books,
them
and I'm
girls.
filing you as a dependent as getting the pipe. That's what it is.
Ain't no half stuff.
You know
Marcus
what,
J.
Mark? I think
live
it's time to turn off
from-
the mic.
Yeah,
I forgot y'all audience ain't ready for all that. My bad.
yeah.
Peace.
Well, you said y'all fool. You the inspiration.
You
That's
did.
your audience.
That was my
That's
audience.
your
audience.
You know, I was hard on them when I was on it. I was
Yeah,
hard
you
on
called
them.
them dummies.
Dummies.
And all.
I ain't had no tolerance for none
Yeah,
of that. I was
Grizzly was the meanest talk show host of
Oh,
all
that was
time.
dog.
Yeah,
Joe
he-
Madison
yeah,
level?
He was worse than Joe.
Wow.
No,
He was
and
worse
then,
than Joe.
when I tried to come back, I tried to be a little humble and say thank you for that. It just didn't feel right. I knew it was a bunch of dummies.
Politeness
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. It's time for me to give John his flowers. I appreciate you, brother. More than you'll ever know. Tonight was a night where we got into a lot of really cool stuff. Without getting into specifics, you know, John is the kind of man who shows his brotherhood in many, many ways. And recently he showed me brotherhood in ways that, well, we ain't nobody talking specifics. You know what I'm talking about.
This is
You
not
know what-
Florida.
you know what I'm talking about.
Showed
And
me
John
his
showed me
man.
brotherhood in a way that I can't thank him enough. And so I'll just leave it right there. He knows what I'm saying, and that's all that matters to me. So I love you. Thank you.
Love you, brother. Marcus spoke a little bit earlier about code switching. I might be guilty of it. I don't think I code switch though. I do recognize my audience though, because I don't ever want to be misunderstood, because then we'll have a misunderstanding. Right. So I speak to who I speak to be as clear as possible. Right. And I never want a person to assume that they can reciprocate my vernacular, right? Because then again, we'll have a misunderstanding. So, with that being said, I like to take into consideration again, we talk about our audience. People, I need you all to really understand us here. We do what we do here out of love, right? Out of love for the people who we are speaking to, primarily. We are trying to encourage love around the board, indiscriminate, without judgment. A lot of times people hear me say things about white people this and white people that. And it doesn't have anything to do with a dislike or any type of hatred. It's just an acknowledgement, right? It's an understanding that once you recognize white people, you then foster racism. Because at the end of the day, we all just people. But in this country in the 1600s, they made a designation called white people for the exclusive purpose of keeping black people from achieving their greater potential. Right? We have to address it. We have to have honest conversation. Steph and I began to dialogue about something that we have varying viewpoints on about children and sexuality and education and so on and so forth. But the fact that we can talk to one another honestly and with appreciation for each other's views, this is how we have growth, and this is how we find where the grooves are, where everyone can coexist in a society, right? These are the same conversations we got to have about this construct and illusion of race. It's an illusion, right? I am like my father used to say, light, bright, and damn near white. But I exist in a world where I don't even recognize to myself sometimes how light my skin is, because in my heart, all I know is I'm a black person. And all of that is an illusion because I'm just a person. Right? What we really need to understand is what Glizzy said. People at the end of the day will go and vote with their pocketbooks. But guess what? White people who voted for Trump didn't vote for their pocketbooks.
No, they didn't.
They voted against their pocketbooks. That's the kind of foolishness that needs to be addressed. And this is why I hold the Democrats equally responsible for the dilemma that we're in, because they don't acknowledge it. They don't bring it to the forefront. They don't put a light on it. The caller earlier spoke about the programs. I was alive and in school in the early 70s, right? I knew about the free lunch program and breakfast program that the Black Panthers put down. I knew about all the money from the federal, state, and local government that went into New York City schools that got robbed by the teachers' unions. That was predominantly white, predominantly Jewish white in New York City Board of Education. How they took that money, how they moved books and resources out of the urban, air quote, urban areas into the white areas, right? How they said that the government's only responsible for educating you to the 8th grade level and everything else is up to you, right? White people, that applies to you as well. I mean, you get out of it because you have inheritance that you stole. And everybody said, well, Why does this all racism? I was never been a racist, and my family, I never owned a slave, and that was so long ago. It was so long ago, and you're still living off of it today. You're still living off of it today.
Still benefiting. Still got land.
Here's a scenario. Think about it like this. 2 days before 9/11, the Pentagon said they misplaced $3.2 trillion. Nobody has ever called the tab yet. The day before that, the man who owned the World Trade Centers took out the largest insurance policy on the buildings, 1, 2, and 7. 7 fell down and was never touched. But he got all that money. So we need to understand what we're dealing with here, right? It's always about the money. It's never about the race, right? And white people, believe it or not, we talk about black excellence here. Please, anybody with white friends, any white people that might be listening, let them know. Y'all are getting suckered. Y'all are suffering. Black people have mastered doing bad so well that we make it look good. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all listen. Black people go to jail and get their teeth fixed. You understand that? I know people that get locked up and send money home more than they make in the street. They call it shitty money because they got to hide it in their butt. But they send money home and pay bills out of doing things in prison. Right? So y'all don't know about that, but y'all are being misled and misrepresented and believing that somehow other people are against you. Don't nobody give a damn about what you're doing because we too busy trying to get our own shit together. And what y'all need to do is get y'all shit together and stop worrying about shit that don't have nothing to do with you. Nobody crossing the Mexican border has any thought, any idea whatsoever of doing anything but getting a tip from a white person. Right? We ain't trying to take your job. We trying to do our job, and we hope you have a job so you can pay us to do our job. Right? Because if you don't got no job, you can't hire the Mexican to do your lawn. You can't hire a South American guy to ride his bike in the rain against traffic on the Crossbar Expressway to bring you a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich in the morning. You ain't gonna do it. Right? So stop following the false narrative. And my people, my black people, as I always say before I close, when I leave, vote in your local elections. Vote for people who have your interest in mind. Right? Stop listening to the bullshit. What does your community need? Does it need boys and girls clubs? Does it need some after school activity for the youth? If it does, make sure that the person you vote for does that. Is the police chief fair? How's crime in your area? You think about that. How many black judges, how many black people live in your community, and how many black judges are on the bench who will decide who goes to jail and who goes home? This is how you got to vote. And that's it for me tonight, Steph.
And I have Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. I always like when I get to turn the mic over to the penultimate voice before mine, which would be
the adjectives. I love it.
I'm smart.
I do love penultimate.
Yeah, I'm a smart dude.
I know you are.
Yeah. Steph, you are great. I love you. I appreciate you. I love the fact that you have a feminine voice in a room full of alpha males, and your voice rings strong. It doesn't matter that you're in a room full of alpha males. You're going to be heard. And the listeners know, if you paid attention to the comments that we got tonight, not one of them said anything about anything that the three of us said. But the viewers and the listeners spoke of how you spoke. That speaks to your character. That speaks to your strength. That speaks to your intellect. And I am honored to sit here every single week and rock with you. John is my brother. I love him, and I give him his flowers. We hang out. So I tell him, man, I love him every time I see him, and he does the same with me. I've always been the kind of man in my last few years who has been open with my affection for men, particularly black men, because I think it's important for us to set that example. But it's different when it's your sister. When it's your sister, you know how I take care of you, and how you take care of me, and you my sister. And I'm just so proud to be in here doing this with you. And so I thank you for being my partner and being my friend and being my sister. And I thank you for the way you make this show better than it would have been every time you touched that pink ass mic. So
Thanks
let's
for
get it.
holding this for me every
Yeah,
time,
man,
too.
let's get it. And John got a blue one. You see how
John
I
got a
did that,
blue.
right?
Yes, you did. I love my pink mic.
Yeah, John got a blue one, and I got a black one because that's how I do it.
Roll with the black.
Yeah, let's get it.
Well, first of all, thank you, brothers, Grizz, John, Marcus. I appreciate you guys' voices always. And I love knowing that you're out there, being honest, telling your truth, living a good life, being a yogi, whatever you're doing. I love that I'm sitting in a room right now with three men who get to live as they choose to live, because so many of us know that we are products of people who didn't get to do that. So I am grateful that you all get to experience that, and in any way that I can make that happen, and help you enjoy this freedom that you are so deeply entitled to, I will always be there for that. So I appreciate you, brothers, and I thank you for the love every Monday night. I roll solo. I don't have family here and everything. So my friends are my chosen family, and I consider you guys my friends. But more importantly, I truly do consider this my Virginia family. So thank you. Um, so we talked about Black excellence tonight, and I'm gonna say something that is true to my brand, but also is just true in general. I'm starting to feel like you love Black women when we're a hashtag, but not when we're survivors. Not when we're doing well, not when we're having good experiences, not when we are rising above the experiences that we were given. And where I see this is not just, it's interesting because when I see it at a high level, meaning targeting a celebrity Black woman, and I read the comments about celebrity Black womanhood, it's amazing to me how that bridge between being a celebrity is never given to the average Black woman celebrity. Not even Oprah and Gail can escape being Black women when it comes to perceptions, opinions, and what you think you can say. And what I saw today is y'all don't really love Black excellence if it doesn't have a penis. You don't love it. Because when Black excellence delivers itself in the form of someone that you can immediately label, and Black women are more labeled than anyone, then immediately you forget the excellence and you go into the mode of tearing this person down. And I think about Megan the Stallion when I think of this. Because when I say I'm for Black women, I'm for all Black women. I'm for the stripper. I'm for the rapper. I'm for the Black woman that's homeless. I'm for the Black woman that has to fight every day, the Black man that she lives with. I'm for the Black intellectual, and I'm for the Black undereducated, because all Black women matter to me. Every single one. The ones who have the education I have and the ones who don't, because the ones who don't can tend to teach me something that I need access to. I watched a little bit of the conversation that Megan Thee Stallion was having with Gayle King. I haven't watched it in depth because my anger was overriding my intellect in that moment. I knew I needed to step back. As I was watching it, I heard a young woman. She's young, especially in comparison to a lot of the people that were making comments. And I heard and read everything possible to dismiss her humanity, but also to ignore her excellence. You may not like what that excellence looks like. You may not like twerking. You may think that's all she is. You may not see her as a lyricist. You may not value her words. But let's get it real. She strings a sentence along better than half of you who have opinions about her. You may not like how she dresses. I would wager if you don't like a lot of those things, she really isn't for you. How about if you're 40 something, pick up a book, do something different? Megan didn't come here for you. She's not really your audience. And so when you see her Black excellence and it bothers you because it doesn't reflect Black respectability, I want you also to remember that you are then dismissing her humanity. You're dismissing a young woman who had to rise above the death of 3 figures in her life. All of her adult representation was gone as she had to negotiate a world that really isn't meant for any young person, the music world. She lost a mother, a father, and a grandmother, all important to her. And yet, she builds a music career. While she's building that music career, the men who should be looking out for her, who look like her skin folk, take advantage of her. She fights back. We see every bit of a young person fighting an entity that is bigger than her, and we can't give her credit for it. She took it to the court. She won legally. She made her statements. We can't give her credit for it because you don't like how her Black excellence looks. You don't like what it feels like to you. It's not respectable. And Black women, I'm talking to you. Brothers are going to do what brothers are going to do. I'm not here to hold them accountable today. They can do that for one another or not. I know how to exclude them. But you, sis, you who want to be picked so badly, the pick me sister that is desperate for a man to like you because you stay at home and read books on Saturday night. Trust me, he's out. He's talking to Megan or a Megan type. So while you're dismissing her Black excellence because it doesn't look the way it looked, and by the way, it's looked this way for a long time. Those juke joints and shimmy shacks, they had a Megan back in the day. And she was just as excellent. We can't become subjective about Black excellence and then spend time writing think pieces about white supremacy because all you're doing is supporting it. See, they accept their white excellence even when it's mediocre. They will promote the Jenna Jamesons of the world. They will promote all the girls that Hugh Hefner was sleeping with at the same time, give them TV shows, pat them on the back because they're blonde-haired and blue-eyed. And you will ignore that a Black woman was shot by a Black celebrity because you don't like something about her Black excellence. And then in turn, turn around and play his music. That of an aggressor. Something that Black women, someone that reflects what Black women die from more than heart attacks. And that is death within our own communities from our own partners. I would wager that if you're sitting around and you're judging someone like Megan, or you're looking at someone who is a Black woman and she's in the celebrity world or she's in the spotlight and she looks different, acts different or whatever, differently than you, but she's excelling, I would wager that if you're watching her and feeling any other way than that's truly Black excellent, you're probably Black mediocrity. You probably reflect the least of us. Because those of us who sit on a certain level, we can see greatness. Even if it's not the greatness that we reflect, we can see it because it's foundational. You build on it. And those of us who want to lift, we can go and grab a Megan and say, what else do you have to offer this community? She went to college. She got a degree in the midst of all this. All you can think about is her twerking at Coachella, but she got paid more than you to go to your job and be treated any old kind of way by someone who really shouldn't be your manager. I'm not judging your level of Black excellence. You donate all your money to your sorority. You buy your friends. And you think you're somebody because you're not twerking. You're twerking, just we can't see it. You're doing it behind the scenes. So what I challenge you today is Forget about white supremacy. You'll never understand it. It wasn't built for you to understand because anything you understand, you can then defend or break down. It was never intended for you to break down. But black excellence, you understand it. You just live in that hater world. Stops you from appreciating it. Spend more time appreciating it. Spend more time breaking it down. And once you do all of that, then I'll listen to you about black supremacy. But until then, you got your own work to do. White people are the least of your worries. The enemy lives within. And that's my rant.
Ain't no #Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Shout out to our sister Mish Mish, who has been rocking with us here towards the latter stage of the show. She all her comments, she put a few in as John and Steph were talking, and I put them all up on the screen. I'll read a couple of them so that you all could hear them. She said that she missed most of this, but she'll be back. And as you started talking, she said that I love the fact that as soon as I came on, it was nothing but a powerful statement. And then as you began talking, Steph, about Megan, she said, say it, that woman has accomplished many things. She literally completed college while entertaining. Yes, she is preaching. Whew, and all of those things. And so,
you, sis. I appreciate
Mish, we appreciate you, sis. You are always welcome here, and we thank you for rocking. And you know, I generally don't do this, but I will say this about Megan and your comment about her. I was one of those people early on that didn't really have a whole lot to say about Megan because I knew that what I would say wouldn't be very positive. But when I saw what was going on with the whole Tory Lanez thing, I immediately became a Megan Thee Stallion fan on the spot. Not so much her music because her music, you know, there are a lot of I don't like Drake, so it ain't about Megan. It's just, you know, I've aged out of liking that style of music, so it ain't about her. But the grace that she showed through all of this trial and tribulation, the fact that she could have blew it up and made him the villain that he is, but on the spot, but she chose to, in the midst of her attacking, midst of him attacking her, she still protected him. She still protected him. And I saw the interview with Gayle King, and if you know, I'm not gonna comment on that. Just go back and watch it. Anybody that knows me knows that I am Team Gayle. That ain't about. Yeah, I'm definitely Team Gayle. So I'm not gonna get into any of that. But I just wanted to say that about Megan. I love her. I love her. And I'm just so happy that she is a part of our consciousness. I wish her love. I wish her grace. And I wish her all the success in the world. And so I'm so happy that you talked about her tonight because I'm Team Megan Thee Stallion. And you know, #Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. A couple of quick comments in. One, our sister Edie is checking in. It's been a long while since we heard from Edie. Edie and I have had many conversations offline about Megan and Cardi and them. And I will say this to you, Edie, publicly in front of everybody. My position on them has absolutely evolved since we were building on it. Mostly on Megan, but on Cardi as well. I get them. I understand them. I also realize that I am their daddy. You know, not literally. The time
Not
for
like
that was
Riz.
earlier. The time for that was earlier. Time for that was earlier. Not literally, but just figuratively. I am their daddy. And so there are certain things that I just won't understand, but I appreciate them so much. And Edie, this was a time for me to give you that love because I know that we build it on this. So I said all that before I read your comment. She says, hey y'all, I got new plantation hours, but I ain't forget about y'all.
That's why she hasn't
Yeah,
been
that's
around.
why we ain't seen you, Edie. We love you more than you know. Thank you, sister. Thank you. One of my favorite people in the history of my life, my brother, partner and friend, the pretty boy Damon is checking us in. He's saying, what up, family? Steph is, and a bunch of fire emojis. Mish says, no problem. I can't wait to come back. She kept a smile and kept it moving. I appreciate y'all. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. All right, all that is done. It's time for me to close it out with my final word, and I will close this out with my rant and my closing. Those of you who follow me in social media have already been through this. Often I will double tap a rant. Will often be something that I felt in my spirit in social media, and tonight is no different. And so I will just say this, right? If we ain't never had a drink, we ain't never smoked a L, we ain't never dapped each other up, fellowshipped in the den, did yoga, otherwise engaged each other beyond this virtual reality we call Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to call it. Stop tagging me in your shit. Okay? Maybe I don't endorse what you're doing. Maybe I don't even know you. Maybe I know you and don't like you. Stop tagging me in your shit. For real. Because at the peak of Legacy in that radio, I ain't tagged nobody. And when I shouldn't say nobody, rarely. And when I did, it was people who was part of my crew. It was never somebody that I didn't know. And most of y'all tagging ain't never supported me, ain't never supported them, or nobody that rides with me. It's rude. I don't like it. And quite frankly, it ain't how you build an audience anyway. It's lazy. It's lazy. Just stop it. Again, the only exceptions is going to be my personal friends, my Legacy Internet Radio alumni, and people who at least have the courtesy of coming to me and saying, yo, can I tag you in this? I got a whole fan page for that. It's called Legacy Internet Radio. Y'all can see it. You in it right now. If you want to do anything to get your stuff out, go and do it there. My personal pages are blocked anyway. So it's only coming through for a small few people anyway. And like I said, most of them are already going to ask me, yo, do you mind if I tag you in this? And if you're inboxing me, it's the same shit. Like, so stop fucking tagging me. I don't like it. And they don't like it. You whack for doing it. And it's just, hey, look, you support me, I'm going to support you. But when you tagging folks and you ain't never shared nothing for them, you can miss me with that. And I promise you, I'm surly as hell. Don't let this Gemini yogi thing fool you. I'm surly. I promise you I could be the meanest person you know. And if you see me somewhere, ask me. I'll tell you. It's my myrrh. It's my rant. It ain't got nothing to do with what we in here talk about tonight. It's just I'm saying people be forgetting how I used to be, and they thinking all of this good chi is part of me.
Tell them why you mad,
but I'm
son.
still a Gemini.
Tell them why you mad, son.
I just get mad about it.
Who was it?
A lot of people. That's why I'm talking about it.
No, you got to call somebody out on that.
I'm not
I see,
calling.
I'll call somebody out on that.
I'm not calling out any names. And the fact that I'm even engaging in a rant or to tell you this is some different shit.
Because normally name is clickbait. We don't do that.
Yeah, calling names clickbait. I'm not doing all of that. But you know, it's a bunch of y'all. Y'all know who you are. Stop tagging me in your stuff. Just don't do it no more. Because and see, here's the other thing. I don't want to be the person that's always threatening to delete people and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna just do it. I'm just do it. So, but stop tagging me in your shit, like for real. Like that ain't theatrics. Sometimes it's theatrics. I get excited because I know it's like theatrical, but this was some real stuff. I'm surly, and a yogi, and a Gemini. That's the Marcus's unrelated rant. Got nothing to do with here talking about tonight. End of the show. Remind you, independence is key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares and the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. I need you to be blessed. I need you to give grace and keep it 100. Authenticity has no competition. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank you for being a part of what I do, what he does, and what she does for almost 11 years. We rocks with y'all and we roll with you too. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We're going to holler at y'all next week, y'all. Deuces.
Oh, Yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.